Let's see what's working here. I see some slicks. Check, check, check. Can they hear me?
Yep.
Hey.
Hello.
Hold on, let me start my video. Hey.
Oh yeah, let me start my video too.
The system is. Hey, how you doing?
Hi.
Hey.
Julie Slick on the West Coast, and where is Eric Slick?
Eric Slick is in Nashville.
You're okay, because I heard some rumors that you were traveling to an undisclosed location. Okay, great. Let me get some technical things moving here. This is bear with me, because for the first time, are you guys Office fans? You know, the show The Office.
Yeah.
Do you remember Ryan? He did a woof. Remember that? This is deep Office trivia.
Okay.
Do you remember? So a woof, he made it up. It was WPH, WUPH, and I'm woofing right now, and bear with me. So a woof, he came up with that word. It's where he sent a fax, a tweet, an email, and remember that?
Oh my God.
Yeah.
He sent everything out at once, which in 1990s when that show was on was pretty remarkable. Anyway, I and you, my dear friends, are we're now live on Facebook, Twitter, Periscope, Twitch, and YouTube. So
Not faxing. We're not faxing as well at the same time.
I'm working on the fax. That's what's got me here. So all right, I don't know. Here we go. We're just gonna have to fix about that. Folks, bear with me here because I don't have a producer, you know. So I'm trying to fix the.
What's up, Julie?
Hi, Eric. I see Marvin's there to be your technical assistant.
Yeah, he's passed out.
Who's that? Oh, that's awesome.
Blue the cat is right to my right, and she looks exactly the same way right now. She's like.
Well, we're gonna not worry about the labeling. Let's so cut. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Meatless Monday Meetups, and this is number 4, and I'm here with 2 of my dearest friends and travel colleagues and fellow musicians. Ladies and gentlemen, Julie Slick and Eric Slick. How are you, folks?
Hi.
You doing okay?
Yeah.
That's awesome. Boy, you know, well, let's start with just catching up a little bit. And for those who are just tuning in for the first time, also, let me just talk about what this is. Meatless Mondays is something that, you know, someone came up with. I should research that. And there's a meatlessmondays.com. If you folks that don't understand what it's about, check it out. But it's just a thing to encourage folks to just take one day, just one day a week, and say, hey, can I, you know, just try some different recipes, some different cuisines, some different ideas. And of course, that'd be great if you suddenly start saying, I'm going to do this, you know, 2 days a week or something. But it's a way to just get into the plant-based lifestyle. The Meatless Monday website has a lot of stuff about the environmental reasons, the health reasons, blah, blah, blah. So we've been talking about that. But what I also want to do is kind of really humanize it and bring friends on. I've had some chefs. I've had some food manufacturers. And these 2 folks, these 2 young people are people that I've traveled around the world with. Many of you know I've worked for many artists, but for over almost 15 years now. Adrian Belew, the great guitarist and singer and composer. And the first, I don't know, 5 or 6 years, this was the rhythm section that I toured with, which was amazing. Julie Slick on bass, Eric Slick on drums. And we went, oh my God, right? Australia is the furthest I could think of. But we were in Russia and Tatarstan and all around Europe and all around the United States. And we drove coast to coast Canada, which people don't usually do that. We did all kinds of stuff. But so that's a bit of introduction. That's who this is. So let's say hello. Julie, how is Seattle? Tell us a little bit about how you're doing, how you're faring, and music that you're doing.
Okay. I mean, I'm sitting in front of my little workstation here with all my pedals on my feet, and I've been doing a couple live streams, as most artists are doing these days, right? It's like there's that meme going around like the whole world is ending, but hey, I'm doing a live stream. Yeah. I've done a couple of those. I actually just got back from a little vacation, like a staycation of sorts. We went to the Olympic Peninsula, because like the national parks are like, there's a lot of things that are closed, but it's a lot less crowded and it's easy to kind of be safe and distance. We did some hikes with masks and things. It was really, really cool. So I feel nice and refreshed, and wasn't
Nice.
expecting to get any time away, really. It's really just like over the water over here, or over the water, as we say in Philly.
Yeah, water.
Yeah.
Okay, great. And how far are you from downtown Seattle?
Like 10 minutes. Well,
10
right
minutes.
now with COVID traffic, it's about 10 minutes.
Okay.
Otherwise,
And
it'd be about half an hour.
because of course we've all been watching internationally on the news with Seattle, just a lot of stuff. Obviously, you've
Yeah.
stayed safe, and you're,
Right.
staying safe in all those ways, shopping and doing all that.
Oh, yeah.
But doing a lot of music, right? You're recording at
Yeah.
home and webcasting. Okay, that's
Yeah.
awesome. Eric, how about you? Tell us a little bit about life in Nashville right now.
Well, it's Music City, so pretty much everything is shut down except for Broadway. They have not been adhering to the rules. So
Of course not.
all the country honky tonk venues, namely Kid Rock's big ass honky tonk, has not been adhering to the rules. But it's a little Republican over there.
Okay.
But, yeah, I mean, for me, I have moved here to do session work, and unfortunately, the session work has pretty much dried up. So I've been doing a lot of Skype lessons, FaceTime lessons. I do like socially distanced responsible lessons at Nelson Drum Shop.
Okay.
And then, I put out a record on Friday, which is crazy, putting out a record in the midst of a pandemic, but here we are.
I was just going to ask you about the record. And it's, the album's called Wiseacre. Is that right? Okay. Is that because you're a wiseacre? Is that?
You know it, baby. No, it's also the name of the place where I got married. So
nice.
What's funny about that is that I was doing like a conference call with management, and they're like, so the album's called Wiseacre. I'm like, yeah, it's named after the place where I got married. So we should be careful about like not flooding Google with it, because, it's also a venue and people need to get married and everything. And they were like, well, that wiseacre also means like a court jester, right? And I was like, I had no idea. And I was like, that makes perfect sense. I am the class clown. So didn't even know.
It's one of your many endearing qualities. Well, that's great. And we're going to have some links that I put in here, but people can go to, both of you have very easy websites to remember, right? It's ericslick.com, right?
Yeah, you know it.
ericslick.com and julieslick.com.
Nerds.
Wow. So simple. So do that. And throughout the day, we'll remind people that you both do so much music, and both websites are great. I saw them the other day, and anything people don't know about you, they can find out. There's history, there's new things. But Wiseacre, I only heard 1 or 2 songs. Sounds great, man. Really good stuff. And it's just been great seeing your music journey for 20 years or something that I've known you. Tell us, it's been a while, right? So for those of you who don't know too, Eric, was that your first tour, Eric, you did with Project Object back as a teenager?
Well, if we want to count the School of Rock 2004 Napoleon Murphy Brock tour, that's technically the first tour, and that was the one that Julie and I were on together.
Right.
But Project Object was definitely my first like van tour.
Get in a van and go somewhere different every night and that sort of thing. So, well, I'm honored to have taken you on your first big tour. And I remember we were in the van and a phone call came in, and it was the Adrian Belew gig, right? Somehow.
Yeah.
One led the other.
It was on my birthday. We were, okay, well, funny story. I got dosed with some pretty serious pot brownies on a Project Object tour in Rochester, New York.
That's right.
At a place called Milestones. And
a
couple days after that were pretty hazy. We played in Wilkes-Barre at River City Jazz Cafe or something.
Yeah, that's right. That's right.
And then we were on the way to Bergen County to do a Bergen County School of Rock show. And that's when I got the call from Adrian, and also Dave Drywitz, an old friend of yours.
Yeah.
Got a call from Dave that day too. So it was a weird cosmic kind of day.
That's right. And Dave, I'm going to have on the show one day, another 35 years plant-based kind of a guy. That's awesome. So, well, we'll come back to music. Tell us a little bit about when you decided to say, hey, let me try out vegetarian lifestyle or eat more plant-based. When did that happen for you?
So it's both of your fault, actually. So Julie, I'll never forget it. You were on the road somewhere and you saw a bunch of pigs.
Yeah, well, for the first thing I gave up was pig, and that was in 2003 when I was on my senior class trip at Masterman, and we were driving past one of those big trucks with all the pigs inside. And I also had a friend, Erin, who was part of 4-H, and she helped like raise pigs, and so she had always like spouted like, pigs are so smart, you shouldn't eat them, I don't eat pigs. So that, like, I think she may even been sitting next to me on the bus ride. So that was the first thing that I gave up at 17, before everything, all the other land mammals that I stopped eating 3 years later.
But I remember you telling me about that trip, and you were like, "Yeah, they're so smart. You know, I'm just going to stop eating them." And I was like, "What are mom and dad going to think? Oh no, like we eat so much pork. We eat pork tenderloin. You know, we eat all these kind of pork-based things." And then I think it was around 2005 where you Julie, committed to becoming vegetarian, or maybe even pescatarian first.
Pescatarian, yeah. Like, and that it was pretty much the beginning of 2006. I remember it was kind of like my New Year's resolution slash, Andre and I are both Aquarians, so we have our birthdays at the beginning of the year. Our birthdays were not canceled this year.
No,
That's
no,
true.
you were fine.
Yeah.
One time, yeah.
So then my first day as a vegetarian was the first day of the Project Object Tour. It was April 2006. I remember you handed me a PETA pamphlet at one point prior to the tour, because you had a stack of them in your car.
That's right. We yeah.
You handed me a PETA pamphlet, and I read through it at home, and I was horrified. Like,
wow.
I was looking at the the chicken slaughterhouses, and seeing all of the testimonials of people who became vegetarian. I saw that Prince was a vegetarian, and that was boded well for me. I was like, oh, that's kind of cool. And so I just dove right into vegetarianism on that Project Object Tour. And I remember asking lots of questions. But Andre, I'm gonna have to give you credit. You were my first vegetarian like conversion meal, and that was when we did the Chris Opperman gig at the formerly the Lions Den in New York. You took me to Mamoun's Falafel.
Wow.
And you were like, "You ever had falafel before?" And I was like, "What's falafel?" You're like, it's fried chickpeas and a pita. It's $2.25. You're never gonna have a better sandwich than Mamoun's. So we walked over to Mamoun's, and I remember having like a life-changing moment with that falafel.
Wow. That's incredible. I forgot about that actually, but thank you. That's an incredible story, and what a gift, because someone turned me onto it and gave me the idea. So that's awesome. And and here we are, right? And we've had, and good for you. You were on a tour where you could, I would go to health food stores a couple times a week, and I remember you would jump right in. You were like, what's this? What's that?
You took me to the health food store in New Brunswick.
Right.
The one that they had the amazing samosas.
George Street Co-op. Yeah.
George Street Co-op.
Yeah.
So we started the tour with a bag of samosas, and I think that was my first time ever eating a samosa. Julie can attest to this, but prior to being vegetarian, my diet was chicken fingers, mozzarella sticks, meatball subs.
Eric vegetable at dinner. I would eat the vegetables that mom and dad, I'm sorry to say, would steam in the microwave with lots of butter. And then Eric would not eat those. He would always get applesauce was his vegetable.
That was it, huh? Ketchup as a vegetable.
Yeah.
That's awesome. Julie, tell us a little bit about what, I mean, you already told us, the pig thing,
yes,
but
the
from
pig
there,
thing.
where did it go? Yeah.
So then at the end of 2005, I did a tour with Chuck Treece in England with McRad. And I remember that was also around the same time that like the mad cow epidemic was really crazy. And when I knew I was going to go to England, I decided that I wasn't going to eat any meat, and it didn't matter. I just was totally veg. I didn't eat any beef, of course, but also I think the avian flu may have been floating around then as well. So I was just like, screw it, I don't want to have any meat. I'm just going to live off of, veggies and cheese. So I did that for a week or two that I was over there, and I realized I didn't miss the meat at all. And then I was also taking an ethics course in college at Drexel University, and we came across this chapter in our book. I can't remember what book it was, but it was all about, the ethics of, like why we do things the way we do, and the golden rule and things like that. And one of the chapters was about meat and the way, why do some people, you talk about this sometimes, why you become vegetarian or vegan, it's environmental, it's the animal rights, and of course the health of the person eating the meat. So I also worked for a chef in Philly Peter McAndrews, who would give me a hard time about not eating pork. So at that time, was in the beginning when I first got the job there, I was just not eating pork. I was still eating chicken and beef. So he would give me a hard time. What is this, some kosher thing? Or, why don't you eat pork? And he would like tease me about it. And then one day
As
I
they
came
do. Yeah.
I came into work on a Saturday morning, and he was serving sweetbreads as a special. And he decided it would be funny if he put the calf's head like near the server station. So like first thing I come in at 10 in the morning, and there's a baby cow's head. And that was I think a pretty defining moment for me. Like, okay, I'll show him. I'm just not going to eat anything. And, I felt so much better after that. It was like, I never missed meat after that. So I've been doing that for 14 years now.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
Well, you know what? Thank you. And I'm surprised I never asked you that question. We've had hundreds of meals around the world, and we talk about vegetarian, but I never went back to that initial moment. And that's great to hear, because that also reminds me of that's a Julie Slick's trait. You don't put up with bullshit. You don't put up with bullies. And I want to applaud you these past couple of years in this pro-bullying environment we're in America. You've been great about just someone says some shit, you call it out, you make sure that you stand up for social justice. And I just want to say that that's always encouraging. And that's, I could picture that. It's the same kind of thing. Like this guy comes and tries to mess with you with a cow head or whatever. And oh yeah, okay. So that's great. You got your back up and said, no, it's what's funny that they call them sweetbreads, right? Isn't that organs and things like that? Is that?
Yeah, it's like thyroid gland.
Yeah. Isn't that funny? To make it sound good, you name it after a plant-based food.
Right.
which just a little bit of humor, folks, because of course one of the things I want to talk about is people get upset that there's these vegan meats and vegan sausages and things. So that goes both ways, but the people defending it need to realize meat is often called a plant product. There it is, sweetbreads. So that part's okay. So that's how you both get started. And then you, by the way, happy birthday to your mom, Robin Slick.
Robin Slick.
Who brought you two wonderful people into this world. And both of your parents are amazing people that I know very well. But happy birthday to Robin. And tell us a little bit about, because your dad's an incredible chef, which tell us a little bit about that. Like, when did you learn a lot from him cooking, Julie? And how was it for the parents when they found this out?
Well, Dad's always been, like you said, a great chef. And, we were, like, Eric had friends. Eric had more friends than I did, let's be honest. So Eric would have friends over.
Oh, brother.
No, but you'd bring your musician friends would always come over. And it was like a joy. Like, let's go over to the Slick's house and play Gary's ridiculous guitar collection, and then we'll have taco night or
hamburgers.
Burgers.
Usually hamburgers.
Right.
Easy, yeah.
Ground beef. And then once we told him, I don't know, was it that big of a deal? Do you remember?
Yeah, it was a huge deal.
Yeah.
I think Mom and Dad were initially really concerned because they were worried that maybe we were doing it for like purely dietary reasons or something. Because I remember Dad being like, "You're not going to have my hamburgers anymore." I have that memory, but when I tell you they have not only adapted to our lifestyle, but they are almost fully plant-based at home. My dad's been coming up with he's been making cashew cheese. He's been making I'm sure he's learned some of that from you, Julie, but I am blown away every time that I come home and have a plant-based meal that my dad makes. And it's honestly better than anything that we ate prior, He makes a mock ham dish that is just out of this world. I mean, I'd put it toe to toe with any meat dish. Yeah. But then he also uses vegetables in a really conscious way, and Julie does too. I mean, you both have figured out ways to make it truly plant-based, not just a soy product. Sure. Julie's really good at making things like cauliflower tacos, but the cauliflower takes on the kind of texture of meat. But ultimately, way healthier for you.
Of course. And also, remember getting Mom, the NutriBullet for her birthday. Because, Mom was having some issues with, digestion and just being able to get enough food. She was stressed at work and, having like a little yogurt every day. And then we decided one year for her birthday, we were going to get her this blender, high powered blender. And Dad really took to it. And now he makes her those smoothies every morning with the cashews and fresh fruit. And now she's like started to become healthy again and like putting weight back on and things like that because she's not
It's
eating
life
little tiny
extension.
yogurt. Yeah, exactly.
It's life extension. I mean, the few years. So I took a little bit of a slip with meat eating. You know, from 2010 till 2013, I started eating meat again because I was experimenting and seeing what was up. And
Yeah.
when I got back off of it, I was like, oh yeah, I have so much more energy now, and it really does. At least for me, it weighs me down. So, I mean, kudos to the plant-based diet. I mean, it really does allow you to have a lot more energy, you know, and it certainly saved my mom for sure.
Oh
That's
yeah,
great.
and so she started becoming veg when she was on tour with us.
Right.
Yeah.
Adrian Ballou tour,
she
right?
was going through, you know, her later in life lady. Sorry,
Middle.
yes,
Middle
The
of
big
life.
M.
middle of, yes, exactly. When you're, especially when you eat plant-based, middle of life. So, you know, she would have these hot flashes and things like that, and she was always curious because Eric and I had been pretty much vegetarian for, you know, 3 years at that point. So she decided, oh, I'm gonna try this lifestyle on the road with you guys and see what you eat. And she would pretty much always order whatever we would order. And same thing, like what happened to me when I first started doing it. Like I just felt so much healthier and so much better. I mean, not just like consciously, but my physical body felt better. And so she's been off of meat ever since then. So that's been 11 years for her now. And Dad,
Wow.
he's like Eric said, he's eating less and less meat. And he was even posting they've made like this outdoor oasis for the birds. Did
Oh,
you see
wow.
that
In their
post,
backyard,
Eric?
yeah.
I
Like
haven't seen that yet.
squirrels.
Okay. Yeah.
And so he said he was going to stop grilling because it's been bothering the birds. And he was grilling chicken last weekend, and
Oh, so the
he
birds
said
were.
they were freaking out. So he said, I'm done barbecue. I'm not going to barbecue anymore. So
Wow.
hopefully that leads to even less meat.
That's great. That's great. And well, no, you hit on so many things there. And one thing I want to remind people too, and we've talked about this this is now the fourth week I'm doing this, and as you both know, because again, we've literally eaten food on several continents. I'm also all three of us. We love vegetables, and that's kind of a line with vegans and vegetarians. Sometimes we all know people who get really unhealthy going vegetarian because they just eat peanut butter and jelly sandwiches. They eat soy nuggets. They eat potato chips. They find out there's that website accidentally vegan. They find out Oreos are vegan or this or that, and then they're just eating that. And you're like, no, no, no. Apples, avocados, salads, walnuts, you know, all these things. So I think it's great that both of you started out on pretty good foot because your parents loved good food. You know, it sounds like you went right into, oh, I like broccoli. I happen to like cabbage soup. I remember you both turned me on to a great restaurant in Philly, which has so many great restaurants. It's a Chinese restaurant. Which is that one that has all the amazing vegetarian food
Stu
options?
Ching House.
What's it called?
Stu Ching House.
That's it. That's it. Amazing long list of all vegetarian.
Everything.
Yeah, and that's another cuisine where it's all vegetables. Yeah, there's some tofu in there, but 90% of the plate is wonderful bok choy and onions and different
Broccoli. Yep.
amazing things. Eric, what did you what's your Meatless Monday been like today? Tell us a little bit, because this is where we connect with the folks watching. Tell us what you've had today and what's on the menu for a Meatless Monday for you today.
So this morning, Natalie, my wife, has been growing vegetables in a garden outside. This has been her new project. And so we've been now growing dinosaur kale, like 3 different varieties of kale. So this morning I made a kale scramble, and it was absolutely delicious. And with fresh tomatoes. Okay. She's growing heirloom tomatoes out there. It's out of control. And then for dinner, I was thinking about making a vegan dan dan noodle. So Julie and I eat a lot of Szechuan food, and we love spicy Szechuan food. So we've been getting super into using the Szechuan peppercorn in cooking. And I make like a chili oil sauce for the dan dan with tahini and I bought dark soy sauce and this like special Szechuan vinegar, and it's awesome. And
the black vinegar.
Yes, you know it. and preserved mustard stem. Like I'm getting out with it. You
That's
know,
awesome. Now
it's
that,
awesome. It's all
so
plant based. It's completely vegan.
yeah. Now, and are you are you both vegan right now? Do you have eggs and some milk sometimes, or are you vegetarian? What's your? Not that it matters that much, but
Right.
trying to educate people. What's
No milk.
you no milk? Okay.
Just eggs for me,
Okay.
and then occasional cheese.
Sure.
But
That's
yeah,
great.
I try to keep it as vegan as possible.
Sure. That's fantastic. And of course today it's so easy to get farm raised eggs and local eggs
Exactly.
and stuff. I'm
So
sure that's what you eat. So when, I was going to ask this. So when you had the kale scramble, was that with scrambled eggs or with something else?
yes,
Tofu?
thank you.
Okay, great. So
Yeah.
yeah, that's great.
But the dan dan will be with tofu. There's this Mark Bittman recipe that I found that is like a tofu ground pork, like a fake ground pork thing,
Right.
where you like drain the tofu completely, almost dehydrate it,
Sure.
and then cook it with a little bit of dark soy sauce and hoisin sauce, and it's out of control. It tastes. I mean, it's better than ground pork.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, before we go to Julie's menu and food today, I want to highlight a couple things you said there. And one of the things we talk about on the show too is that we don't eat enough good fat in the American diet, especially. We eat all the wrong fats. Omega-6s are very high: corn oil, canola oil, saturated fat, animal fats. But we're not eating enough omega-3s. So I touch on this every week because it's a crisis. And anyone that wants to learn more, just Google omega-369 or essential fatty acids. And it's important to note, as we have been, that you can get these fatty acids, excuse me, swallowed down the wrong windpipe there a minute ago. The omega-3s are very rich in a lot of seeds and things like flax seeds and hemp seeds, but also in eggs. I talk about eggs all the time. Eggs are a perfect food. I don't eat them right now. I've eaten them a few years ago. I went into eating some organic eggs. But they're one of the perfect foods, like mother's milk and like spirulina. We always discuss, and again, I'm going to put quotes around perfect foods because somebody's going to Google and find there's one element. But it's very hard, actually, to find something that's not in those three foods. And I want to emphasize those every week. Mother's milk of a mammal, for that mammal, is perfect. Of course it is. It's taking a baby and growing it up, right? Eggs are also perfect because they're going to become a living animal. And spirulina, the blue-green algae that we love so much, I'm telling you, folks, every week I'm going to bring it up. It's such an incredible part of my life, and I know these two use spirulina in shakes and things. But spirulina is so unique because it's also got omega-3, 6, and 9 in proper balances. It's got protein, fat-soluble vitamins, all these things. But I think it's great that Eric reminds us that Meatless can include eggs, organic eggs, unfertilized eggs, farm-raised eggs, whatever you want to find. I also want to ask both of you, and then we'll go right to Julie. Have you tried this product called Just Egg? It's a liquid. You've had it. Oh my God,
Yeah.
Jules. So Jules, you gotta get some of this stuff like tomorrow. I don't flip out about products that much. Eric's nodding, and I passed this stuff by on the shelf a million times. I just thought, yeah, whatever. My sister, who's also veg, said you got to try this. So it's in a little bottle. It's liquid. It looks like whipped eggs, and it's made from mung bean protein. So it's this incredible protein, and it's incredible for Asian foods, which have a lot of mung beans. So like that fried egg stuff that you would see in fried rice or something.
Sure.
You cannot tell it apart. Am
Nope.
I kidding, Eric?
You're not
my
kidding.
God. This stuff, omelets, frittatas, anything. So check out some Just Egg. Julie, let's go to you. What did you have today, and what's on the menu for later?
I will tell you that I do. You just saying that though does remind me. I've been doing a lot of. So you just talking about mung bean powder. I've been making Spanish-style tortillas with garbanzo bean flour.
Awesome
And
too.
so I use that, and I do that with the, making omelets and things like that. So I definitely want to try the mung bean powder because I know
It's
the
liquid.
chickpea flour. Because you mix the chickpea flour with water and a little bit of lemon juice, or a little bit of apple cider vinegar, and even if you want to go crazy, you add a little bit of the kala namak salt. It's like have you ever had that?
No, I haven't had that.
Okay.
It's salt.
So yeah, you can find it in most like Indian and South Asian food stores. It's kind of hard to find other places. I'm actually out of it right now, and I want to.
How do you spell that?
KALA and then another word, Namak.
Oh, there it is. Kalanamak. Okay,
It's
great.
very, so you smell it. It's actually very sulfury, like an
Nice.
egg fart.
Oh
So
yeah. I think is it called asafoetida in other
asafoetida is different.
okay, because that's got that
Asafoetida,
smell.
yes, the asafoetida is an allium. It's related to garlic and leek. So
Right.
that's kind of a natural MSG.
Right.
Okay.
Okay, I'll
So
check that out. Awesome.
no, I did eat that for breakfast yesterday. I made a little I have like some boiled potato that I make some homemade veggie broth, and I boil the potatoes so it's a little bit healthier. It's not deep fried like the traditional way of making it. And then then I'll just saute some onion and mix that with parsley in this chickpea flour and water mixture. And then if I have a little kalanamak, and then I add that and I put it in a little omelet pan, nonstick pan.
Sure.
You pour it in and then you flip it. That's a fun game to flip it without it spilling everywhere. And it comes out absolutely delicious. And I make a vegan aioli with that with aquafaba instead of egg.
I was just going to ask how much aquafaba is in your life. Yes.
Yes.
Love it.
So,
sorry, pause for a minute. Some people might not know what aquafaba is. We love it. Tell us what aquafaba is.
It is the leftover liquid when in a can or jar of chickpeas, or if you make dried chickpeas from scratch in a pressure cooker or in a regular stock pot, that's the leftover liquid. It's a kind of thickening agent / egg replacer. So you can use it. I really prefer to make mayo with it. Like
yes.
I've made mayonnaise with farm like free range eggs before, and I find it's much more difficult that they can break, even though it's emulsified when you first make it, a day in the fridge and it breaks. I've made this vegan mayo like thousands of times now with the aquafaba, with a little bit of sugar and mustard and lemon juice and apple cider vinegar, and then some nice like sunflower oil, and with an immersion blender, and it makes it absolutely gorgeous. Mayo with garlic, especially I love garlic. So what I actually ate today though was I've been having a lot of like free range eggs, and I've been making omelets and things like that. But today we had a leftover banana that was going bad. So I just was inspired to make some gluten-free vegan pancakes.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So I had a little bit of cashew milk, and I added a little bit of lemon juice to that to give it that like buttermilk sort of flavor. So it's
a bit of tart. Yeah.
A cup of that, a little and then a cup of the Bob's Red Mill 1-to-1 gluten-free flour. I highly recommend.
Nice.
It's amazing. And so I use that. A quarter teaspoon of baking soda, a quarter teaspoon of baking powder, a little bit of salt. I melt down some soy-free Earth Balance. You can also use coconut oil. I like the buttery flavor that the Earth Balance gives. Put that in there.
Fat. We love fat.
Yes.
Yes.
It's got to have the fat. And a little bit of sugar. And then, which, it can leave out because the banana was sweet enough, but, and then that's it. Yeah. So I mix that all together, and a little bit of ground cardamom and ground cinnamon.
Delicious.
Yeah. Sounds so good. I'd eat that right now.
And I smeared,
so wait, are we still on breakfast?
Butter. Yes.
I'm getting hungry. Okay. We're still on breakfast. That's
so,
amazing. So folks, listen to this. This is what being around Julie Slick is like on tour, because many times we've been backstage in Poland or Hungary or northern Russia or Australia, and she'll look around backstage and go, let's see, there's a kettle, and let's see, there's some, there's a can of this, and I think there's some parsley that was in the cafeteria, and we turn around and there's like soup or something, and you're like, wait, how did you? She's like, yeah, there was a tomato, and there was some garlic powder, and I just, so she can, and she posts a lot about that, like the hotel kitchen, which I do a lot too. I love that. I mean, when I'm on tour, as we all know, it's so much cheaper to just, if you're in the middle of Spain, go to one of these beautiful supermarkets, get a nice half a loaf of bread, a thing of organic tomatoes, olives, everything's 50 cents. And you get a few things, and you're sitting in the hotel room, and you're done, and you can go for a walk. Meanwhile, other people are at a restaurant waiting for their orders still. So we've all done that many times.
Julie, can I say something real
quick? Jump in. Yeah.
One thing that you blew my mind with when we were first talking about vegetarianism, I was like, isn't it going to be expensive to be a vegetarian? Isn't it going to be so costly? Because everyone tells me it's an expensive lifestyle. And you were like, what are you talking about? Like, quinoa, all this stuff, like all these prepackaged things, or, you know, what you're talking about is also incredibly like financially smart to do. You know, it's not just for your health, it's not just for environment, but it's also like extremely financially, fiscally responsible.
No, that's a great point. And again, it's all about making careful choices, because there's
Right.
tons of stuff. We can all go to Whole Foods and there's all this nonsense that's overpackaged, overpriced. And you look at the ingredients, you're like, I could whip this up for $4. Why is it $17.99? So I do address that problem that's out there. And unfortunately, people see that and they make a conclusion that
Right.
that's what it's like. Jules, what's on the menu, if you know already, for later on today for you? Because I know it's only 1 in the afternoon, but what's...
Yeah. Well, I have some leftover soup, which, like I mentioned earlier, and Eric can attest to this, I always save all my scraps when I cook veggies.
Yeah.
And I put them in the freezer. I have, a couple just freezer safe bags that I just reuse over and over and over
Sure.
and over again. I just fill that with my trash. So and I buy veggies that make delicious broth, shiitake
Sure.
mushrooms. I take those stems, it goes in the bag.
Mhm.
Leek tops and the out part of the leek that, is a little bit too tough to eat, in the bag. Fennel is beautiful, like the stalks that you can't really eat otherwise, like boiled in broth. I mean, I save the fronds, but like the actual stalk, not the bulb. Carrot peelings and ends, if I feel like peeling the carrot, if I'm feeling something.
Yeah.
And so I make broth about, once every 2 weeks, because it's vegan, it keeps about that long. And so I had some veggie broth, and I had some fennel and some carrot and leek and zucchini, some fresh local zucchini.
Yeah.
And I just mixed all of that together. Super simple. And we haven't been growing veggies. It's a little bit like I needed to plan a little bit more in advance. I just moved here like within the last couple of months.
Okay.
We have some beautiful herbs outside. So, just some fresh basil and thyme. And I mean, our herbs are killing right now. I'm really excited about it. We have some cilantro
likewise.
out there. And
That's great.
so I just like grab a mix of all these different herbs and throw that in. So it's pretty simple, but it's super low fat actually, but good fat, a little bit of olive oil in there. And garlic, of course, love the garlic, and a little squeeze of lemon at the end, and it's so good. It's just like a simple, and white beans, a little bit of white beans in there.
Sounds delicious. I
Yeah.
can't wait to have a lunch myself. No, that's great. And again, we're hitting so many great points here, which is you can do this affordably, number one. You can do it in a Whole Foods manner where, there's nothing wrong with grabbing a frozen Amy's pot pie. I've got one of her pot pies in the fridge. I eat Amy's burritos once in a while. I eat these things. But it's about having 80-90% of your diet be lettuce, tomatoes, avocados, olives, plums, fruits, vegetables.
I would say shop the perimeter of the store.
Of
It's
course.
the aisles that will get you every time.
That's exactly correct.
Yep.
Oh, thank you. A mystery hand has just handed me a green shake here. Thank you, Robin. That's the
Hi, Robin.
That's the local Robin, my Robin.
Yes.
And she says hi. Let's see. So I'm dropping a few links into the chat, folks, and let's go to a couple questions before we continue on. I want to come back to some music stuff. So Just Egg, again, I put that up there, and that's been, again, just revolutionary for us. It opens up. I haven't had a frittata in years and years, and you can do these insane, dishes with this stuff. And what I love is it's not artificial at all. I mean, someone's just realized that the texture, and it's what we were talking about before. Your dad being able to do a pork, a ham sort of a texture. And one thing I talk about every week on the show is this is not new, folks. The Chinese Buddhists 4,000 years ago, go look it up. The Buddhist monks and priests said, you know what, we don't want to kill animals. And they said to their chefs, figure it out. We want things that are in our cuisine, Chinese cuisine at that time. And so they figured out how to do things like yuba, which is tofu skin, seitan, which is wheat gluten, and also just taking yams and root vegetables and figuring it out and saying, hey, if you pickle it and then steam it, here's a texture. Or if you dry it and then add some fat, and then here's another texture. Or if you bake it and add a vinegar or an acid, you get another texture. And they just really figured out. So that's what is important. These things are not new. These ideas of texture. Um, Tell us a little. Let's jump to music a little bit. And Julie, so you said you've been doing some webcasts. You've been doing some
Yep.
recording. Do you have a record that you're working on? Is there something coming
Yeah,
up this year?
I've had a record that I've been working on for the last. I mean, we released Daughter of Ocean, the last Echo Test record, last January, February.
Okay.
So I'm always, when by the time a record has come out, that usually means I'm already on an almost finished
The
the
next
next
one, yeah.
one. So we've been sitting on this one, Mount Si, for about a year. I mean, a couple, we're still polishing up things here and there, but we're trying to figure out a way to record the drums and mix it at a distance, which is a little bit
Doing all this.
difficult. Yeah. So
Where's your drummer?
our drummer is in Rome, and Marco, my other bass player in the band, is
Marco
in
Machado.
Belgium now. So Marco
wow.
and I, we always record our parts remotely, and it doesn't
Right.
matter that we are in the studio or not. But the drums, we really want, to be professionally done. So luckily, Alessandro, like in Rome, things are opening back up a little bit because they had a much more strict lockdown than we had here.
Tell me about it. Yeah.
So he's able to go down the street to a studio, and his friend can record the drums. So hopefully, when he gets back from his little socially distanced holiday that he's having with his girlfriend right now, we can get those drums finished, and then I can yell at him, and then he can do them over again. And
That's great. Okay.
And then maybe like a Zoom mix with our guy in Philly, because I like to mix with my friend Todd, who I've been making all my records with since 2012.
Okay.
So he's kind of like an honorary member of our band. So yeah, hopefully by next year, we can have that record totally
Okay.
done.
And all of this, all your other projects, Echo Test, any different things you're doing, julieslick.com, right? And
Yep,
people
yep.
can find it all. Okay, great. And I'll make sure
And
that's
Bandcamp.
in there.
Yes,
And-
Bandcamp. So I do offer
Can
a
you link-
subscription.
yeah.
Yes,
Go ahead.
subscription. Yeah, the link is on my website. If you click on music, so it's just julieslick.bandcamp.com, and I
Awesome.
offer a subscription service there. And I'm, the good thing about being in quarantine is that I'm pretty much putting things out. And also with Bandcamp Fridays happening first Friday of every month, it's been amazing. They waived their fee. I'm sure a lot of
Yes,
listeners out there know
I've been.
about this.
Uh-huh.
So it kind of lights a fire under our butts to like, unlike what Spotify says, to get new music out once a month for Spotify, I'd rather get it out for Bandcamp, where I can actually
Yeah.
get it fair wage.
Absolutely. Yep. That's a whole great discussion.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
don't think he said quite once a month. He said not every 2 or 3 years, though, but like once a year or something. Twice a year.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay, great. I put your websites in there, and Eric, of course, we were talking about before. You got the Wiseacre album that's fresh. When did it actually drop? Like just 2 weeks ago, or not even?
We put it out early on Bandcamp for Bandcamp Day.
Okay.
So that was August 7th, but technically the album came out on Friday, August 14th. And that's on every streaming platform. But
Sure.
we did make a physical copy of the record through Bandcamp's new vinyl program, which is phenomenal. Like, you can fund a record through Bandcamp now. Basically,
Sure.
it's an all-in-one kind of like Patreon, GoFundMe model where
That's
people are helping you fund your record, the
Sure.
pressing of your vinyl, but they're also receiving a copy of it.
I love it.
It's awesome.
No,
And
that's a great.
And Bandcamp actually mails them for you, right? Like, you don't even have to worry about the shipping yourself.
Exactly. They have distribution centers all over the world, and there's one in the
Sure.
UK. So people can order the record in Europe, and they don't have to pay $20
That's
up to
amazing.
$40 in
Yeah.
shipping. They only have to
No,
pay $5.
That's
Their
awesome.
model is incredible, and again, they're taking their fee usually to cover this kind of cost, but they've been exceptional lately in forgiving the fee and just saying. And I applaud you both for embracing all of these platforms. And I love that your record came out on Spotify the same day it's in a record store. I think we need to be realistic. There's different markets here. And to that point, Jules, like for instance, the Spotify model, I always consider you one of the, both of you, but especially you, because you have more volume coming out, it seems, in Eric, right? I mean, you got like
Yeah.
4 different bands, and we're going to talk about Dr. Dog in a minute too. But I think the model really, you show how it works, because I want to ask you a question. Let's compare how many people on planet Earth can hear Julie Slick music. So when you're in Argentina, when you're in Israel, when you're in Australia, Canada, Japan, Eastern Europe, people have heard your music.
Yep.
And let's trade that off. you wouldn't be selling them CDs anyway in those countries.
Sure.
Now you do, because you show up there with the CDs, right?
Right.
So you
Right.
kind of have the best of both worlds. So speak to us a little bit about that, because I know Spotify's the devil, and we're supposed to. But give us just for the pro con side of it. Tell us a little bit about what it's like being in some of these far-flung places, and someone has only heard of you because of Spotify. I mean, tell us,
Well,
commerce-wise, what do you get from them?
I mean, it was funny. You're reminding me of a time that I was in South America, like in Uruguay specifically, and these kids, we tend to have a younger, well, it's a more diverse fan base down there. I will say, like
Love
when we play,
Uruguay. Yeah.
yeah, when we play in North America, it's a little bit more of an older demographic and more males, and then we go to like Japan or South America, and you see people of all ages, of all different ethnicities, and it's really cool to play in those kind of markets. And I remember finishing a show in Montevideo in Uruguay, and there were these excited teenage boys outside, and one of them came up to me in like very broken English and said, like, I love your song, pie. He said it like P, which I thought, I had a little giggle over that. And he had just heard it through actually Bandcamp, because it was streaming on Bandcamp. Like, I cannot buy it because I don't have a PayPal. So I went to the car and I grabbed a Terroir CD that I had, and I gave it to him there, and didn't bother selling it, because I just thought how cool it is that there's this teenage boy in Montevideo who is a fan of not just Adrian's music but my music. And it blows my mind, even just because I only sell, pretty much I distribute everything myself. I've had deals with a couple different distribution companies, like very small in Europe and in Japan, but in general I'm just selling the records myself through Bandcamp. So I know exactly who my fans are, where they are. So I know where you are. And it's pretty cool when I put something new out, and I'm sending it to places that I haven't even been before. I sold a record to Kazakhstan this year.
Wow.
And I actually had it sent back to me because they weren't shipping things from the United States to Kazakhstan during the pandemic. So I actually had to then resend it to his friend in Russia, who was able to send it to him.
Right.
So, I mean, we're working together, and he finally received it, and he loves it. And it's just, I think it's just so cool that, again, like, I can send my music around the world to places I haven't even been before.
Yeah, it's important. The other thing, and I use you as an example sometimes, because you really take advantage of the technology. And I want to remind people of something that doesn't come up in the streaming argument. So I'm 55 years old. When I started doing music, you had to get a 4-track cassette recorder maybe, and you'd press up cassettes. If you even wanted to make vinyl, and it was still another 10, 12 years for CDs, astronomical costs. But here's the other thing, and you both take advantage of this. And again, Julie, just a bit more. Let's remember that in the cost of making my record, and I did a few records in the late 80s and in the 90s, to do any of the artwork, to do any of the postering, to do any of the promotions, artists that complain about the streaming thing, oh, it's a ripoff, just make lemonade with lemons, would you please? Which is plant-based. Because today you've got free email, free poster making software, free reverb plugins, synthesizer plugins. You can get a free DAW. You can set up a free website. Bandcamp is free. SoundCloud is free. You go on and on and on, and all the costs that we had when I was 18 or even 28, they're not here anymore. I did a show the other night. I think you did the same thing for Prog Stock, right? Didn't you do the Prog Stock?
Yeah.
OBS software.
Yeah.
Holy shit. I'm arguing with myself if that's $20,000 worth of software or $30,000 worth of software. I'm not kidding. It's a TV studio. Am I lying?
No, and that was the first time I had come across it.
Oh,
what are you talking about? I'm interested.
Okay,
what
Jules, let's get on a phone call later, because I wouldn't say I'm expert, but I've been using OBS for about 2 months now. I do 4 camera feeds, and I can integrate still pictures, video, live video, or video on a file in my computer. I can jump around. I can program in camera shifts. Yeah, Eric, I can play in my basement and have the camera on my feet, on my head, the overhead, and the one coming from over here, and have them switch automatically. And I can then go to
Oh.
stills. I can go to stills that say my PayPal on my website
Yep.
at 5-second intervals. It's a TV studio with high quality. You can record the whole thing free, free, free. So as artists, what we need to really embrace is that we can't really ask to get the same per unit that we did in 1989 when the cost of being an artist is something like 1/10,000th of what it was for these kind of things, for the hard material and the software and everything. So I just get really amped up that we pretend that it's this linear comparison. And again, I applaud you both because while you point out where you're not happy about these things, you don't sit around. You keep making records, and you keep moving on. So
You have to adapt. I mean, the
yeah,
music industry, if you want to stay in it, it's all about adapting. And
absolutely,
the
absolutely.
technological advances that have happened in the last 10 years have proven that you can make a record for under $1,000,
Yeah,
potentially less.
absolutely. So okay, well, I'm going to go to some questions here, and of course, some people are probably wondering, what does it have to do with Meatless Monday? Well, it has to do with artists who happen to be plant-based, but we're getting into the art side a little bit here, and what both of you are doing. What's going on with Dr. Dog? I mean, are you guys on a hiatus? I think. Or what's happening with that?
We're just off for the. I mean, we're on a forced hiatus.
I wasn't sure. Yeah.
No, we toured starting in February, and luckily we were able to make enough money on that tour to sustain ourselves for a little while. And the hope is that we had a bunch of festivals booked for this summer, outside land, some big festivals that were really exciting, but now that's being pushed till next summer. So hopefully either everything is okay by then, or we're doing socially responsible pod concerts, or I'm playing drums in a bubble. We'll see.
Well, Eric, let's also have a conversation about OBS, because OBS is great for bands putting together shows, because now you can have, well, you just probably put it together in your head. You can have cameras on everyone and a long shot, and it's doing its thing in high quality audio, and so there's a lot of this happening, and I think part of it is too, the streaming thing is developing where you've got someone sitting there with their iPhone or their Samsung, and it sounds like it sounds. We're now getting to that next level where people can deliver an incredible product with sterling audio and visuals and things. So now someone sitting at home goes, "Oh, wow, cool. I'm fine dropping 10 or 15 bucks on this." Are you kidding me? I'm sitting in my living room and it really looks good. And it's not just, dude in his, it's not dude in his sweats playing guitar. Let's see if there's some questions then. Bud Halbison says, hey to all three of us. Hey, Bud. Kevin Ritchie says, Adrian's terrific. Yes, he is. Sabina at Bad Doberan is saying hi. Let's see. Are there any questions here? Robin Gelberg. I know who she is. She says, hi, Eric. Teddy Turnoff, how are you? Oh, we got some great rock people here. Alan Gowa says he went to Mamoon's and OD'd on hot sauce. Isn't that a Bluish Occult song? That's OD'd on life. The spinach pies at the co-op. That's right. Okay, here's one. Scott Fisher asks a question for Eric. Good segue from Dr. Dog. Thanks to a friend of his, he's become a huge fan of Dr. Dog. That's awesome. Yeah, they're incredible. And he caught them live a few times. And are the rest of the guys in Dr. Dog, any of the other guys into a plant-based diet? And what's stage milk? That's just two questions.
Okay, so Scott from Dr. Dog on the last two tours has gone vegan with me.
Wow.
Which is a huge thing, because that dude, I watched him eat a hamburger a day for 6 years, maybe. So he's really taken on a whole new attitude towards it. He makes smoothies all the time. I got everybody into like those vegan spirulina bars, the ones that you showed me like years and years and years ago. So he was plant-based in the last two major tours that we did. And then we have some crew guys who are vegetarian as well,
Wow,
and
wow.
they're in great shape. And
So your rider must be great because
it's phenomenal. Every day I'm blown away that I get to have like avocado on my rider, and even like the tofurkey deli meat. Like that can be a total game changer, especially if like you're in a complete food desert. Sometimes we're pulling up to a venue in like Florida, and there's like nary a supermarket or vegetarian restaurant within like a 20-mile radius. So those riders can be extremely helpful. And then as far as stage milk is an inside joke that got way out of hand, but it's just hazing fluid that you use for a fog machine.
Okay.
And we saw where it stems from. Hopefully I'm not ruining the band's mythology with this, but we were in Burlington, Vermont, and we saw a dude just drinking a gallon of milk in daylight on that side stage, and we're like, why is someone doing that? That's so weird.
He's in Vermont, where
Well, true.
Oh, true.
What am I
Had a
saying? It's
doobie in one
Vermont.
hand and
milk is free in
Yeah.
Vermont, right?
But it was extremely hot outside, so it was also just like milk doesn't seem very refreshing.
milk was a bad choice.
Milk was a bad choice. So it just evolved into this utterly ridiculous thing. And I think
that's good.
utterly, I didn't realize that, utterly ridiculous. But the funniest stage milk moment is that we got these. What hazing fluid looks like? It's like these buckets.
Yeah.
So, and they almost look like milk cartons. So we labeled them stage milk, and no one told me this was happening, but they had actually fixed the lights so that I was like about to walk out on stage in Washington D.C. in front of like 4,000 people, and like 2 spotlights come up on like these 2 gallons of milk, and that's our introduction.
That is great. That is
so
great.
Stupid.
Spinal Tap moment for sure.
That certainly is. Well, we have a couple of people saying hi. Sumitra Nanjundan is on. Another amazing musician and singer. You know Sumi, right? Sumi is happens to be married to Alex Makachev.
I thought so. Yes. Yeah.
But forget that noise. She's amazing and brilliant singer and pianist, and she's got a great album out a couple months ago, and of course did some stuff with Terry Bozzio and Alex. Okay, let's see. So people are saying hi. Chris Cuda says buongiorno, not John.
Oh, Chris Cuda.
But it's Italian buongiorno. Yeah, Chris Cuda from. I wanted to say too, my shake here. I want to, because it's Meatless Monday. We want to keep giving people ideas. So this is something that we have quite often here at the Asheville station, and Robin made this. It's frozen banana, fresh banana, almond butter, coconut water, almond milk, almond butter, coconut butter, spirulina, and kale. Wow. So sounds like a lot, folks, but it's like 8 ingredients, and I mean, frozen and fresh banana is really 1 ingredient, and you can kind of adjust that. If you don't have almond butter, drop some almonds or some Brazil nuts in there. But just a base of bananas and spirulina and coconut butter, and you can kind of do anything. So it's delicious. A lot of protein, a lot of good fats. 3 minutes in the blender. Jules, tell us a little bit. You've been in Seattle, like you said, for how long now? A year or two?
Well, pretty much like was around the last, like when the tour with Adrian ended at the end of last year. But then I was kind of back and forth. I play with Start Making Sense sometimes, so I had a couple of gigs with them. We were doing the 2 bass thing. Was kind of like the 40-year anniversary of those shows with Busta.
Cherry Jones.
Yeah, exactly. And Tina. So I played the Tina. Okay. And Mikey played Busta. Yeah. And so we did a couple gigs through around New Year's, and then I've been basically back here since January. I was in Nashville a couple times. I was helping Adrian with his rig when he was supposed to be doing the Celebrating Remain in Light shows. So I had been doing some programming with him when everything kind of went down. I was actually with Eric. That was the last place I visited out of state, was at Eric's house.
Wow. I know. Yeah. Miss you, Joel.
I know. Miss you too.
So you two haven't seen each other since February, huh?
Yep.
March.
Yeah.
March. Okay. Yeah. And I haven't seen my siblings. We live further away, but in August, I think. But the beauty of Zoom and all that. back to some questions, and I want to come back to Seattle. Carol Forsyth is here. She says hi.
Nice.
And she says, "Are you going to raise some chickens someday?" Not sure who that's directed to, but for me, we think about it from time to time. Not practical right now. Also, not practical when you're on the road,
Right.
6 months a year. But maybe that's gone forever,
Yeah.
or at least for another year. So maybe we will raise some chickens because great manure, and maybe at that point I would eat some local
We'll all
eggs.
just become chicken farmers when the touring industry doesn't come.
Sumi says she was just going to mention chickpea flour and kala namak.
Nice.
Kala namak. Am I saying that right?
Yes.
So let's see. Any other quick questions? While I'm looking for questions, Julie, what's your favorite plant-based restaurant these days in Seattle? Again, back when you could go.
Yeah, that's the thing. I've been cooking so much that we go to this Turkish market, which happens to have a falafel stand, because I was like on the search for the city's best falafel. It's one of the things that I miss about the East Coast. Actually, you find a lot more delicious falafel joints there.
Mm-hmm.
So I found this place called Manouche Express, and
Okay.
they make a really good herbaceous falafel. To me, it's very important when you bite into the falafel that it's so
Yes.
green inside. That's the sign of a good moist and herbaceous, fresh.
Oh, it's over here.
Hi, Nat.
Yeah.
Sorry, we got to give Marv his meds.
Oh, no, that's fine.
So it's not a totally plant-based restaurant. There's a lot of plant-based items on the menu. That's like the first thing that comes to mind. But honestly, like, I've just been cooking every single meal and enjoying getting the local produce that's out right now. Washington State produce and the apples are just starting to come in. It's really really good.
No, it's funny. Well, and it's funny. We're like that too. It's like, you know what? There's a lot of horrible things about this pandemic. Losing 5 tours, the first one, all kinds of things.
Yeah.
But we don't go out to have food that much either. Once in a while, people coming through town. But I feel bad because economically, I wish I had the incentive to support some more places.
True,
and we're going to.
That's the thing. Like, Seattle is so expensive. So honestly, like, going out to eat here or even just getting takeout, it's ridiculously expensive. So that's another reason why it's another impetus for me to just stay at home and make everything here.
It's kind of funny, But on the road, of course, that's where we really find places. And speaking of which, we had, who's a dear friend of yours, both of you, is Eric Tucker was on last week from Millennium in San Fran.
Oh my God!
We've all had food. Okay, great. And
yes,
Julie, does your other half a musician or an artist also, or?
She's a graphic artist. So
graphic artist. Okay, great.
Yeah, and she eats. It's funny because she still eats meat, but so much less now because obviously we don't have it in the house.
Great.
So, and like, her brother-in-law just opened a butcher shop. If you're gonna eat meat, it's a good place to support it. It's all like locally sourced. Nothing comes from more than 100 miles. He's always offering stuff, but she just like, I don't really kind of want it. I'm happy just to have the veg food I have at home.
Right. There's a gourmet chef here. So
yeah.
Who would want, no, that's great. It's okay. And does she have a artist website? Is there
she needs
want to promote that, or?
I mean, it's Katie Yakovich, but like
nothing.
I don't think she has her website up and running right now.
Okay. That's
unfortunately, but you could check the social media.
Yeah. Okay.
And she
Katie
has some things
Yakovich.
yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and she's working on her new album cover actually right now.
Oh, great.
So, yeah.
Great.
Cafe Flora, by the way, I thought of a restaurant that's really good.
What's it called?
Cafe Flora.
Cafe Flora. Okay.
Yeah, it's very good. Yeah.
We've eaten a couple in Seattle. There's one. What's that? The donuts, Mighty O or something.
I don't know.
There's a vegan donut place in Seattle.
Yeah, Mighty O.
Is that what it's called? Okay.
Exactly.
Julie's eyes just lit up.
Oh no.
Says, wait a minute. Well, you know what's funny about this place? It's brilliant, and we've all talked about this. It's Mighty O, right, Eric?
Mm-hmm.
Mighty O, yeah. What's brilliant, Jules, is they don't call themselves a vegan restaurant or a donut place. It's just a donut place. And if you're in the know and you check and you ask them, you realize, oh my God, I think maybe they have one with an egg glaze or something, but they very secretly So it's kind of one of those things that we've all
Okay.
experienced. As soon as you tell people something's vegan, they go, "Oh, I don't want it." Meanwhile, it's like you just ate 3, dude.
Yeah,
Yeah.
How did,
exactly.
yeah, we've all
There's a
been there.
Yep. There's a place like that in Portland, Maine too. That's you would never know it, but the potatoes, the donuts are made with potatoes,
Wow,
Oh,
yeah,
whoa.
it's just
and
another flour.
it's just
Yeah,
it's like and you're like you're eating it, and you're like it's so rich, it's so decadent. And you're like it's potato.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I love it.
Well,
Well,
yeah. Go ahead.
no,
Yeah.
I was gonna say like I've heard of using beets with like in chocolate cake and things like that, which I have never tried, but I do have beets in the fridge. Hmm.
Um,
That's
the
right.
well, the aquafaba is one of those examples that you really it. Robin's been making these desserts and meringue type
Yeah.
things and dressings. I'm sorry, icings. That stuff is sick. I'm
Yep.
telling you, folks. Any of you out there, you've never. Please, I put a link in there. Look up aquafaba and do some recipes. You'll be blown away. And Jules, talk about that a little bit. What's going on there? It's just texture, right? It's just
Yeah. I mean, like
why.
like I said, I use it to emulsify when I make aiolis or mayonnaises. Like you just mix it in with the mustard and the oil and the acid, whether it's apple cider vinegar, lemon, a combination of the two, and it's just insanely good. Insanely good.
So you just gave us a mayonnaise recipe. Can you say that again?
Yeah.
Aquafaba, mustard. What else?
Yep.
Apple cider.
You can use garlic or not. I like to put garlic in between 1 and 20,000 cloves. It's just a taste.
Yeah. Yeah.
Or roasted is also nice. Sometimes I
Okay.
do a combination of the two. Sometimes I add smoked paprika. Sometimes I add seaweed to give it, like you can make a
Oh.
really good Caesar style dressing with nutritional yeast and seaweed in that with a little extra lemon juice, thin it out a little bit. Lovely. Um, so I add a little bit of raw sugar to it just to balance out the mustard.
Okay.
And then I just stick the immersion blender inside and then add oil until it looks like the consistency that you
So
want. If you want it to be
okay.
a little bit looser for a dressing, if you want it to be a nice thick mayo, and obviously like add a nice, good quality oil, not just like a crappy vegetable
Yeah.
oil or canola oil,
Sure.
but a good neutrally flavored oil.
Sure. No,
And that's it.
that's a great quick recipe.
Oh, and kalanamak also in that is really nice because it has
Oh,
that egg
okay.
flavor.
Right. No, I'm gonna order that.
Yeah.
But again, food is just texture. There's that wonderful show I'm sure you've seen. We mentioned it last week. What's it called? Acid, fat,
Oh,
salt, or
so
something.
yes, yeah, something
Is
like
that is
that.
that is that right? But that great show, and she does a lot of flesh foods, but she does some vegetarian foods. But I think it's brilliant because it really explains to people that it's really just chemistry, folks. If you've got the umami of Julie was talking before about what's crucial in her freezer for her vegetable
Hmm.
broths. Mushrooms, 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 and then something allium, and then
Yep.
something acidic. Wow, that's really all that's going on. And then if you want the texture of something chewy and meaty, you got 10 choices, whether it's
Right.
tempeh or seitan or this or that, or even certain mushrooms, right? Chicken
Right.
of the woods and all these things. That's great. So okay, great. So let's go to Eric. Eric, your other half. Talk about Natalie for a second. Wow, I love the music. I've heard of hers, and you're married to a wonderful woman named Natalie Press, right?
You got it.
Yeah, and I just put the website up, nataliepress.com. Tell us a little bit about the recent stuff you've done together and separately, and just tell us about her, and so people know.
Natalie has been vegetarian since she was 12, which is mind blowing because this was at a time, this was the 90s. And as I'm sure you remember in the 90s, like it was, we've come a long way. This was what I'm trying to say is like, we've
Sure.
come a long way with vegetarian food and what's available to the public. And she grew up in Virginia Beach, which was pretty isolated. So the fact that she was a vegetarian and she was in Virginia Beach at a time when nobody else was doing that,
Sure.
really was pretty incredible. And
Although
Natalie's also a huge reason why I got back into being
she
vegetarian.
brought you back into okay, right?
She definitely brought me back into it, and she is amazing. We collaborated all the time. I played drums with her when she would tour. If Dr. Dog was off of tour, we were really lucky. Like I could just fly between bands basically.
I love it.
And yeah, she sings on my record, and it's great. She's great. She's the best.
She really is. I saw, I'm a fan. I love the. I've heard maybe 6 or 8 of her songs. I really should sit and listen to a whole record, but I love everything I heard. And I saw you played drums. She was on some TV show or something, and you were on drums, and that was one of the
Yeah,
first things I
Conan.
saw. Conan, right, right.
Yeah,
And
we were
then
on Conan.
I watched your video from your new record, and she's in the video, right? From
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Wow, dude, that's a disturbing song. That's a great, just you and the faces you're pulling. I love it. People should definitely go check that out. And there's links, I'm sure, on ericslick.com
Mhm.
and natalieprass.com. If those of you who love just great songwriting and great music, go check Natalie out. She's got kind of a twisted sense of humor too, which there's no
Yeah.
way that you'd be
She'd
together.
have to be to be. Oh, yeah, exactly.
But
Yeah.
I did not know that. Another person who's been plant-based for so long. I was just sorry I interrupted there. I was just going to say Virginia Beach, though. Is that the headquarters of PETA? Ironically, are they there? I forget.
I know, and that was a
Right.
huge part of her upbringing. It was
Okay.
amazing. The PETA headquarters are in Norfolk,
Yeah.
Virginia Beach, so that was a huge motivator for her.
Yeah.
And there's also the Edgar Cayce Center, which is very new age.
Oh,
lot
sure.
lot of vegetarians, lots of people who are into
Sure.
things like vitamins and omega-3s. This was like before a lot of people were doing
Yeah.
that. So
That's
very holistic town.
absolutely. And PETA, I grew up. I'm 20 years older than you guys, so I grew up. PETA they've gone off the rails a little bit on some of their stuff, but you know what? We're talking about slaughter. We're talking about millions of animals. We're talking about torture. We're talking about a hellish environment. So it's always funny when someone's all upset about a PETA ad. My feelings are hurt. That was insulting. And you're like, dude, there's tens of millions of cows, pigs, chickens, not only being slaughtered, which we can have a philosophical discussion, but being kept in very horrible conditions. And Julie, you raised an interesting point before, which I try to make on this show, is that if you are a meat eater, great. But how about getting better quality? How about getting it compassionately raised? How about getting free range? Spend the extra money, damn it, and stop supporting this really robot-driven nightmare. In fact, I'm going to do a special on a show coming up. I keep pushing it back, but I want to update people on the American factory farming situation, because I'm sure everyone saw and remembers at the beginning of this COVID outbreak, huge outbreaks, right? At these
Yeah.
pig slaughter and cow slaughter, because you've got people crowded in. They're
Yep.
often illegal immigrants, a lot of them. They're paid like shit so that you can have cheap pork and you can have cheap chicken. I gotta be hardcore on meat eaters on that. If in this environment, when these essential workers in these factories are getting sick, dying, and they just get replaced, these companies just replace them.
Oh yeah.
It's so there's a real crisis here, so that America can keep eating cheap meat. So what we're doing here with this weekly series also ties in, folks, to realizing that you do not need this to survive. And between a little garden in your backyard and a farm market in your town, which many towns and cities don't have that, I understand. But if you've got access to local food and simpler food and learning how to cook black beans and white beans and mushrooms and simple, inexpensive things, you also are making an impact on this very serious crisis for these unrepresented workers who get tossed aside and they bring another 200 in. And you need to Google that if you don't know this, but there's a big price for meat, especially right now. So yeah, just wanted to make sure we folded that into it. Let's go back to some questions here. Fern's asking. Okay, Fern, yes, OBS. You can message me on that, but OBS is like a TV studio is the best way I can say it. It's not the same thing as people playing live in a different box. Denise Romano Bright says hi to all of us. Hello.
Hi, Denise.
Some people gardening. Shirley Beck with his gardening. That's an off-topic question. Should I buy the FZ Halloween 81 box? I know, right? $125 for 6 discs. Did you see that, Eric? Let's talk Zappa for a minute.
Woo! Well, you sent it to me. So.
Did I send you that? Okay. I don't really buy physical product anymore, but I might want to get that. That's one of the greatest shows of all time. of Zappa, and I'm gonna say one of the greatest shows in the Western world ever
Yeah,
was
it's
that
incredible.
Halloween. Oh my God! And I might get that. I might get Orchestral Favorites. Have you heard that one?
Of course.
The reissued one.
I
Oh,
didn't realize that they reissued it.
oh, yes,
I just dove into Mother's 70 the other day.
so good,
I was like, oh, really, a Mother's 70 version of Envelopes? I was like, are you
dude.
kidding me? I
And
know.
and, and unreleased stuff. You know.
I feel like that album is too modestly titled. I was like,
Yes,
yeah, I was like,
yes,
this is a revelation, you know?
yes. Well, now you know. Their Orchestral Favorites is out as like a 4 disc worth of music. Unbelievable.
I'm
And
sure.
all stuff that he doesn't do. And one of the highlights is he has the band do Black Napkins, which is okay,
Mhm.
2 chords. You go, and to hear Frank Zappa instructing an orchestra, you got to listen to this. It's one of the highlights because he says, "Oh, bassoons, can you play? Yeah, no, let's go an octave lower." And he builds these 2 chords with an orchestra, but you hear how his brain works, and he gets this voicing going, and you go,
Sweet.
"Holy shit, this guy!" So that's Julie. What have you been listening to these days, other than your own music? And is there something cool that we should know about? That
I mean, I've been digging into the Amon Tobin stuff from the
oh
late
yeah,
90s.
okay,
Massive
he's great.
Attack, always on the playlist.
Oh
Uh, I'm gonna say it wrong. Bonobo, that guy.
Bonobo.
okay, yeah,
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 I've been digging that.
awesome.
Um, I feel like I always think of things like 10 years after I get
No,
asked
that's
this
great.
question.
That's a good.
Tortoise, like the Tortoise station on just Apple Music is really great.
Mm-hmm. No, you hit some of my favorite bands there, and love Massive Attack. Oh man,
Yeah, yeah,
and we're all fans of Luther here, the
yeah.
TV
Nice.
show, and of course they have that music. So that's a great. And as you said, that those are some bands that 10, 12 years ago, 20 years ago. But you raise a good point, maybe inadvertently, that there's so much still to discover from
Oh
these
yeah,
past years.
I'd never heard of the band Toe before until I started listening to the Tortoise station, and I'm loving that band.
What are they called?
Toe,
As in like your
like a
big
toe. Yeah,
Okay, I'll check them out. Yep.
yeah.
Toe. Okay. That's a great
Very
bunch of
math
stuff.
rocky,
Yeah.
but like with acoustic instruments and different time signatures, that kind of nerdy stuff that I enjoy very much.
You do. And it's you mentioned Terroir before. It's an honor to I played on a track on that album, which was a lot of fun.
Yeah.
Have you all heard Black Midi? Do you know that band?
Oh yeah.
Yeah, they're weirdos. Have you heard them, Jules?
No, I need to. I think
Oh,
I've heard
man.
of them, but
Weirdos.
yeah.
Kind of like Radiohead meets Crimson at a Dillinger concert.
Okay.
But they were writing folk songs right before that. It's just
Yeah.
it's
It's
the
cool.
drummer, yeah.
Drummer's
So,
insane.
drummer's out of his mind. Yep.
Nice.
So let's see any more questions. Dean Matson says hi. How are you? Frank Bellina says hi. Scott Fisher asked for the shake recipe. Yeah, Robin can drop that in. And Denise Romano Bright says, okay. She says, I'm a vegetarian, but I can't give up my Locatelli Romano cheese. That's great. And I think the same message. I think you both would agree because we've talked about this. Go ahead, have cheese, have dairy products, but demand that it be way better than what's out there, right?
Spend a little bit more on the cheese that you're
Spend a
getting.
little more. The three of us have been in Italy together, and we've sat there at breakfast going, "Oh my God, how are these eggs? This tastes nothing like back home, right?"
Right.
Because it's fresh. Because it's and I've eaten some dairy in a place like France or Italy, another planet. So the message always is, folks, if you're gonna do it, get the most expensive stuff, get the imported stuff, and eat less of it, really, because it's no matter what, it's still saturated animal fat. It's still estradiol and estrogen and progesterone that you might not need. But if we can get people to eat better quality, then that's great. Jules, I know you've actually in the past couple of years, right? You've gone much more to vegan cheeses and things, right, Jules? I've seen that on your. What's your favorite, like Miyoko's or what are some of the things you like that are out there?
Well, I actually like I was experimenting with making my own sort of. I was actually thinking about. I actually just made some pizza dough this morning. Also, I've been really into that. because there's not many good pizza places here. So I've been
Oh,
doing that like once every
scratch.
couple weeks. But I've also like been feeling less and less like having cheese and dairy products. So I made this mozzarella, this fresh mozzarella with cashew cream and like I think tapioca and some. There may have been agar in it. I need to. It's been about a year since I
For
made it.
texture, yeah. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it gets you cook it up and it like actually gets very like spongy and melty, much like fresh mozzarella does. It has
Right.
it's super tasty.
That's
So
great.
I'm wanting to experiment with that. I need to get all those ingredients.
That's awesome. You
Yeah.
know, again, as we've been saying over and over, it's about texture, folks.
Yep.
Some of these cheeses today, I'm forgetting the brand. Robin, if you're on, maybe you can drop the brand. There's this company that's been doing a feta cheese that we've had lately that is
Nice.
unbelievable. I mean, and again, you need some acidity there because you get that
Sure.
vinegar kind of a thing. And Miyoko's, I've had a few of her things, and those are remarkable. You
Oh
know,
yeah.
so it's. But I agree. I try to learn how to make these things. I've never
Right.
made a cheese, but maybe you've inspired me to do that. I've made tofu from scratch. I've
Yeah, it
made
wasn't. It's
seitan.
not that hard. It's really not that
Okay.
hard. But with a high-powered blender, it's really not.
Sure.
As long as you
Sure.
get that cashew like super blended up. And so I made it in Spain with like a kind of not the best immersion blender when I did it the last time, and it came out pretty good. But that's why I'm
Okay.
like, I want to make that again now that I have like a better blender here.
Right.
I feel like I get a better texture.
Um, Going to the questions here. This is amazing. This is one of the reasons I do this. The community, the people connecting, and things like that. Michael Bernier is on here. He says, "Hi, Julie," and he says,
Hi.
"Julie, I had no idea you were vegetarian. We could have been exchanging recipes this whole time. How
Really?
about you've known him for years, right?"
Yeah, exactly.
But you know, sometimes that happens, right? You don't
Yeah.
talk about stuff. That's so cool. Well, Michael, I just learned because he's been on the show a couple times as a watching and questions. I didn't know he was a nutritionist before he went to music. Did you know that?
No, I did not.
Yes, like a trained, well, with quotes that decries it, but I mean, like really a real nutritionist,
Right.
not just playing one on TV. But he was a nutritionist, and he's talking to some people, answering questions on my show last week, and so I'm
That's
honored,
awesome.
and I invited him on, so I'm going to have him on a couple weeks.
Nice.
Michael Bernier. Also, on that note, I keep forgetting to plug this, folks. I've got next week. I've got, and I'm sure you both have used this product, Great Eastern Sun, the miso company.
Okay.
They're in Asheville, and they
Right.
could be anywhere to be on my show, but they're going to be on next week, and we're going to have a miso master from the company showing us video and pictures on making miso from scratch. So
Nice.
maybe you can add that to your
Wow.
yeah. But Great Eastern Sun is an incredible company. They have miso is about 60% of their profile, but they do all the Japanese stuff. They got nori and sesame oil and ginger and pickled ginger and things like that. So that's next week, folks. Every Monday, 3 Eastern. So next week we've got Miso Master coming up. Either the next week or the one after, I've got a guy from Lagos, Nigeria, with a vegetarian restaurant called Very Veggie.
Nice.
Wow.
Yes. And we're going to talk about the exploding popularity of vegan and vegetarian food in Nigeria, which, again, isn't that much of a surprise. As we all know here, we've all been to Mexico and Uruguay and Venezuela. In these hot countries, these countries with more poor people, more of a slow economy, you have to eat plant-based food.
Right.
So all the most wonderful foods come from all these incredible cuisines, come from a lot of these countries where you got to keep that chicken alive longer than
Yeah.
not.
Well, I noticed in Spain, like I remember when we went in 2008, and it was often difficult then
Right.
to try to say, you'd have to say, sin carne, sin jamon, because the jamon was like salt,
Everything, yes.
and even like you'd order salad and it would have tuna on it. Well, I spent a lot of time in Spain in the last couple of years in the south of Spain, and the amount of like vegan friendly and vegan restaurants were there. I was stunned at how much that
Yeah.
culture has adapted in just 10 years.
That's good to hear. Yeah, I have not been to Spain since the time with you folks, but you're right. When people ask, "Where's it hard to eat vegetarian?" I always say, it's possible everywhere, but it's a challenge in Spain and a
No
challenge.
longer. No
Right, well,
longer.
yeah, you're saying this,
Yeah.
but certainly the challenge was, and we would joke around because you'd order in Spanish, you'd say no carne, no leche, no pollo. You ask for no, and then they bring it, and you're like, wait, what's this? And they're like, como se dice pulpo? Octopus. No, I
Yeah.
don't want octopus. So you send it back, and you say no pulpo, no pollo, no leche. Oh yeah, sí, señor. Sí. They come back, and you're like, excuse me, what's this? Oh, we call it pigeon. It's a, no. So they're very weird. Like unless you tell them, they just can't.
Specifically.
But this is great to hear that it's a new day there and it's much more veg friendly
Oh yeah.
because we all may be moving there soon. So that's good to know.
Yes.
Hey.
Hey, it's very cheap.
So okay, so let's go to some questions here. Danya Ross says help with their website. What are you dissing Julie's website? Uh, your website's fine. There's always one guy in the crowd. But vegan donuts, that's crazy. Well, not that crazy, you know. Let's see.
We got Dottie's Donuts in Philly too. They're vegan.
What's it called?
Dottie's.
Dottie's Dots. Okay, that's awesome.
Dots Donuts.
Aren't they owned by the pizza place, the vegan pizza place?
They might be.
Yeah.
Okay.
Blackbird.
Mm.
Blackbird pizza in Philly is very good.
Ooh.
Oh, someone else
Yeah.
saying, Don saying he went to a Chinese place and wasn't told it was vegan, and ordered everything off the place, and it was amazing. So that's part of it too. We can talk about that for a minute. Once people know, right, they get weird. Sometimes, and I've seen that with Julie with your food because you make this wonderful food that just looks gourmet, and I've seen people try your food and then 10 minutes later, oh, it was vegan, and you're like, no, you were
Yeah.
just raving about it. What, you know?
Well, actually, but I like was delivering breakfast to the butcher shop actually, like
Okay.
every like Saturday. They were helping us get some produce, so I was like, okay, turning it into like this plant-based food. So I brought in my cauliflower tacos that Eric was talking about, and I made
Wow.
some cashew crema with just some smoked paprika, cumin, raw cashews, water, and a little bit of lemon. And they were going crazy over the crema, especially like I came in the next week, like we still couldn't wrap our minds around the fact that that wasn't sour cream, that wasn't
Yeah.
like a dairy crema, that was just cashews. Like, yes, it was just cashews.
Yeah. No, that's great to hear. And again, we've said it 10 times today. It's all texture. Tina Grahowski's here. Hey, Tina. Tina's asking, what's your favorite neutrally flavored oil? She likes safflower. What's your favorite?
Yeah, that's what I'm using right now because it's on the more affordable end of things. You know, like avocado oils is also nice. That's great for
Oh.
frying at high temperatures.
Okay.
But yeah, safflower is pretty much my jam right now, or
Sure.
grapeseed.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that speaks to how good fat is. And again, we've talked about this for years. Tell us a little bit more on some good fats, Julie, because you've already talked about things like extra virgin olive oil
Yep.
and cashews. And what are some other in your pantry there? What are some
So I
good
always have like
fats?
a giant jar of extra virgin coconut oil, which I use every morning. I oil pull, which
yeah.
is a, Ayurvedic method of just cleansing your body and your mouth, obviously. Is I do that for 10 to 20 minutes every morning while I'm making my coffee. And you just take a tablespoon of that and swish it around, then you brush your teeth. You spit it out in the trash because it's like will clog your drains if you spit it down the drain.
Sure.
It's viscous coconut oil.
Yeah.
And then I also use that for like when I make popcorn, just some nice extra virgin coconut oil. I make sweet potatoes that I just gently saute with that, like a sweet potato hash. I roast the sweet potato first, and then I just add a little bit of coconut oil to a pan and grate the sweet potato, add it to that, little scallion on top. It's really nice. A little turmeric. So yeah, I love coconut oil. I've been making Ethiopian food a lot. So I've made
nice.
the spiced, it's typically like a spiced ghee style, the nitter kiba. I'm probably saying it totally wrong. But it's like a slow reduced oil or butter, like traditionally, but I use the coconut oil.
Bringing it down, yeah.
And, fresh ginger, cloves. I mean, it's got like 20 ingredients in it. It's very complex. It's got oregano, it's got basil, it's got onion, garlic, turmeric, fenugreek, all sorts. And I have a nice Berber spice blend that I add to that as well. And I just have like a jar of that in the fridge. So anytime I like want to saute up some collard greens or kale, you just add a little, and it keeps, you know, for like 3 months because it's totally vegan.
Right. That's another
And
bonus. Yeah.
exactly. So I strain it, you know, I strain it
Sure.
out so there's not like the fresh garlic or fresh ginger
Clumps.
solids inside of it. So it you know, it increases the shelf life. So again, I just have that in the fridge at all times. And so when I want to make some nice Ethiopian food, it's like, you know, just add
That's
that to the
great.
pan. It's really
That's
good.
great. Well, that's I'll keep you posted when I have different restaurants on, because there's an Ethiopian restaurant on my list of
Nice.
people, because that's such a veg friendly.
Yep.
That's great, and hopefully people are being inspired too to just get a little pantry going. You know, folks, if you've
Yep.
got these 10 basic spices, anything becomes,
Oh
you
yeah.
know,
Smoked paprika is a huge one. You want that bacony flavor,
right.
smoked paprika, like you can get it for $2 at Trader Joe's. Like it's so good.
Let's go around the world a little bit and with some memories, and also I want to hear some of your favorites. Do y'all remember when we were in? Of course you do. We were in with Adrian Ballou tour. We were in Hungary. Remember Andras?
Yep.
Hungary.
Yep. Yep.
Oh, such good food in Hungary, right?
Yep.
Wow,
Yes.
and it was mushroom season. Remember? So there was.
Oh yeah.
We all love mushrooms. We went crazy with mushroom soups and all these. But the paprika too. It's actually spicy over there.
Oh yeah.
Like
So
it's the
spicy.
real deal.
Yeah.
Um, you know, and then in Australia we were there and we realized, wow, it's tons of Asian food. They have every
Oh yeah.
Asian.
The best Thai food. 'Cause I
Yeah,
haven't been to Thailand, so that was the best Thai food I've had.
a lot of Thai people say that. Well, what's unique about Australia that no other country has is they've got all the Asian food. So there's
Hmm.
Vietnamese, there's Thai, there's Indian, there's Bangladeshi, there's Pakistani, which you don't really get in each of those other countries. You've got their own food, maybe two
Sure.
or three others. But remember that street we went on and it was just
In
nothing but
Kingston.
Asian.
Yeah.
We couldn't decide. It was like,
I know.
so what's your favorite? What Eric? What's your favorite cuisine these days? I know that can change. What around from around the world? What's your
Well, I mean, like I said, I love Szechuan food, but there's a spot in Nashville called Bangkokville.
okay?
It's a ridiculous name, but it is some of the best Thai food I've ever had.
Nice.
It's insane. I mean, so yeah, sort of reigniting my love affair with Thai for sure. And then we also live in a area that has a lot of Salvadorian food. So pupusas with like the cabbage
Oh, I
slaw.
love those. Yes.
Oh my God. And they're so cheap. It's like you could get an entire meal of pupusas for under $10 and you'll be full and potentially have leftovers the next day. So a lot,
love
and that's got a lot.
pupusas.
That's also a lot of plantains in that cooking too. So we love, you know, Natalie and I
Nice.
love platanos and mofongo and all that stuff is
Sure.
so tasty.
Julie, I know it can change, but do you have a favorite cuisine right now from around the world
Oof, that's
for
hard.
plant-based?
All, all the foods. I mean, I you know, my band is Italian, my two Italians. I realize that I do cook a lot of Italian food, risottos, and
Sure.
like the soup I was describing earlier was pretty much like a minestrone. I've
Sure.
been making pizza dough, but also again, like I always make all different kinds of curries, like the Ethiopian style, Thai style, in South Asian, you know, all the food. I also love Mediterranean food. Like it's zucchini season here, so that's like one of my staples every summer is I make these zucchini fritters,
Right.
which are just packed full of the fresh herbs. So mint, basil, oregano, dill, any one of those, you know, combinations of things with just zucchini and a little bit of chickpea flour. I've noticed I used to make them with egg, and I can make them completely without egg now. Like I used to have to drain the zucchini with salt and like squeeze it. I mean, I still drain it a little bit, but then I basically need that water to mix with the chickpea flour to
Right.
make that sort of, you know, binding agent. So it keeps them gluten free. It increases the protein content and a little bit of fresh lemon zest in there, scallion and garlic, and it is outstandingly good.
It's amazing. And I've seen you cook on the road. And again, total carnivores just roll up and love what you're doing.
Oh yeah.
Have you thought about having I don't know. I haven't seen your page in a while. I looked at it the other day, but I didn't
Yeah.
dig around. Have you thought about having a just cooking and recipes
Well,
page
I've
on
been
there?
writing down my recipes.
Yeah,
So
I
I've been
think
trying to get better about it because, you know, I you know, kind of free form stuff. I just kind of throw things in. So every time I make something that's really good, I try to like rush over and like actually write it
sure.
down so
That's
that I
awesome.
don't forget it.
Well,
Let's
everyone
go.
here should go subscribe to your email. You have a Patreon also, right?
The
Uh,
Bandcamp
Bandcamp, right?
is the best way to keep in
That's
touch.
right.
Yeah.
So find Julie's, and there's a link of the Bandcamp on julieslick.com
Yes,
on the
there
music
should be.
section. Yeah.
Just julieslick.bandcamp.com.
There
So
we go, folks. I'll put that up there too. So I know Eric is running short on time. Jules, do you have a little while longer, or do you have to go too, or
no.
you got? Yeah, we're getting
Yeah.
close to the end
Yeah.
anyway. But Eric, I know you have to jump off. Is there anything that we didn't touch on that you wanted to say, or to the?
No, y'all, it was great. It was so fun.
It really was, man.
So good to see you both.
Yes,
I
love
know,
you,
I
Ari.
know. Let's do
Oh,
brotherly and sisterly love. But I love you both, and you're both like, it's somewhere right between parental. I feel like you could be my kids, but also sibling.
yes.
Yeah.
We're right. I could be your much older brother, and I have to say again, the times I spent with you two in these countless countries, coast to coast, the laughs, the music. Wow, watching you both play and just the amazing people we've all met, and with Adrian Ballou, who's one of the funniest men on earth.
Oh yeah.
He's fantastic, and he's one of those examples of why I do this show too. This show is for if you're a hunter, come on this show and learn a little bit about a couple new recipes. We're not, I'm not here to bully meat eaters or bully carnivores or, we're just trying to say integrate into your life if you want to keep going. But Adrian's a great example of that, isn't he? He always tries, right, what we would have
Yeah.
backstage.
Oh yeah.
And he might have had a steak, and he goes, hey, guys, I'm going to have a steak. Dude, that's fine. But he would always say, well, what's this here, And right, we would have spinach pies or this or that. I'll never forget. Oh, here's another meal memory. Remember when we were in Turkey?
Oh yeah.
And that's what was she from? Armenian grandma made us a meal. Remember that?
Yeah, and we actually turned down the second and third course because she fed us so many metza at the beginning. We were just gorging on these like fresh green beans and like super lemony hummus and different dips. And then they go like, okay, and now the pasta is coming, and we were all like, what?
Yeah. No,
couldn't do it.
Turkey is near the top of my list for greatest food trip, man. That was amazing. And do you remember too? We flew there, which took forever, and we got picked up. It was nighttime, and we were all hungry. And they stopped at like a gas station almost, and there was a salad bar. Remember that?
Yeah.
And it was pretty much, there was one chicken thing, but like 19 vegetarian things, including this soup that was the lentil
soup. Oh, so good.
So turkey, I still dream of turkey, man. That was
me too.
So good.
Lucky. We were lucky.
Yes. But so Eric, I know you got to run, but ericslick.com, Eric Slick Music on Twitter.
The Twitter.
And I think everything's linked off your site. People should go to Spotify or go to Bandcamp or go to a record store, whatever you want. Order, of course, and get this new record, Wiseacre, from Eric Slick. It's really great. Like I said, I only heard like 2 or 3 songs so far, but I'm going to do a headphone dive later. And excellent, man. So great to see you, buddy. Thanks for coming on the show.
Thanks,
see you
y'all.
soon.
See you soon.
Bye.
And okay, so let's see if there's a couple more questions here, Jules. And
cool.
Denise, I didn't know that. Denise Bright, who you probably know, since 71 vegetarian. That's great.
Yep.
Don says great production on Julie's website. Okay. That's Jay Harris just went 95 vegan this past February. That's what I love too, Jules. Is just people all around. Do you have some stories like that where you have friends that after years are going, you know what, Jules, I'm trying this out. Is that happening?
Oh yeah. And
so
then they just never look back after that, because again, it's like the way I felt, the way Mom felt. It's just you start adapting to that lifestyle, and you realize how much better you feel. Like again, not only like the conscious stuff, like being lifted of like I'm doing the right thing for the environment and for the world, but like I actually, don't spend 2 hours in the bathroom every day because of the crappy meat I'm eating.
It's, you just feel better. Exactly. I always tell people that. We're not doing this for longevity per se. That's a possible bonus.
Sure.
But it's really just feeling good every day, and not being on any drugs. So let's see if there's any other questions. Sabina says she should eat better meat. Yes, become a qualitarian, and I use that word a
Yes.
lot. Qualitarian. Thank you, Sabina. You know Sabina, right, from Zapanale?
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. And at least in Germany, there's actual laws for the meat.
Exactly, exactly. Well,
Uh,
there's like my friends, my bandmates being from Rome, there were years where they were going to open up a KFC there, and they actually couldn't open up the KFC because it didn't comply with the strict Italian Food and Drug Administration equivalent over there. They said,
right.
like, this questionable meat, we will not allow you to serve it here. And so I think they finally opened it, but they had to actually change the way that, like, they put the meat out. I think they changed the actual meat. It's like, so probably the best KFC in the world is in Rome.
Right, exactly.
But the fact that,
That,
I mean, that's pretty horrifying. That's the reality of it, is that, in some places like Italy, where they actually respect food and where it comes from, like, they don't put up with that stuff. Like, we're not going to eat that
you
garbage.
know, that's one of the most fascinating things to me because anyone who travels, any American who ever goes to Europe, it's half of what they talk about after the scenery and the history, right?
Oh yeah.
Everyone says, "Oh my God, the food in Spain, the food in Italy. Oh my God!" And I say to them, "Well, guess why? They've got regulations. You can't get American beef and chicken and pork in these countries. It is considered toxic. Wake up!
Right. Yeah.
Well, we're the greatest country in the world. How could that be? Well, that's a whole other discussion. But we're not in food quality. So
Right. Right.
the beauty of the United States, though, and there's many beautiful things. Because someone just said he hates America. No, I don't. But I'm going to be honest about it. But one of the beautiful things about America is you can get top quality stuff.
Sure.
You just got to look a little harder. Again, farm markets, look for organic,
Yeah.
understand what local and pasture fed and all these things mean. And all of a sudden you start getting food that's just as good. So let's see if there's a couple more questions. People are just, Vile Life. That's the brand of the feta cheese. Have you heard of that brand, Vile Life?
Oh yeah, exactly. That's the
Yeah.
that's the brand that they use at the vegan pizza place in
Mm,
in Philly. It's like a
okay.
soy free. It's very good.
Yeah,
That is
yeah.
good. Yes.
There's someone on here saying that no one loves cheese more than him, Jay Harris, but he actually loves the vegan cheeses these days. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
really been amazing.
We've come a long
Rob,
way since diet was our only option.
that's right, that's right. And even that's better than like what was it, tofuti and those kind of
Oh
cheeses
yeah.
20 years ago. But let's see. Robin says, Robin G, my Robin says, that's your special talent, Julie. Yes, making a gourmet meal on a hot plate in Lithuania.
That's
Exactly.
right. That's right.
So it's Sabina says just Lithuania. Yeah, wherever, as long as there's electricity or a hot plate. Um, do you have anything that's spam? Okay. Todd Reynolds says, "Hey, you know Todd Reynolds, right? The violin
Yeah.
player.
Yeah.
Yeah. Him and I are going to be doing a show. Todd Reynolds and I are doing a
Nice.
show later this week on black conservatives, by the way. And have you seen this explosion in black conservatives?
Yeah. Some of them, like the what's her, Candace Owens, is that her name?
There's Candace Owens. She's going to be a big topic. There's this guy Coleman Hughes who he's kind of more. He's actually pretty progressive, but asks some questions about progressives as we should. But the Diamond and Silk and all these,
Mm.
and we're just we're going to ask quite critically what's up with these guys because some of them are just saying the most nutty stuff. But anyway. So Fern is saying, yes, we're not here to criticize dairy and meat eaters, but we're
No.
definitely going to be honest about if you want to change, some good reasons to change. Um, let's cashew cream is ridiculous. Yes, it is. It's so
Yes.
good.
I know I talked about it like 10 times on this call, but I love it so much. I mean, I use
Okay.
that, like, I put that in my soup, to make like a chowder, like a corn chowder
Oh yeah.
with just leeks and corn and veggie broth and then this cashew cream. And then I'll like take the leftovers and just serve it over some gluten-free noodles. It makes a beautiful sauce. Like,
Delicious.
I love, like, not just like eating leftovers. I like to
Yeah.
transform the leftovers into something else. Like, I learned in Italy, you find them over here. They're called arancini because that's, like, I think the Sicilian way of saying it. But in Rome, they're called supli. Take leftover risotto and you put
Right.
peas inside. So you could use the Violife. I've done it with the Violife. and you put cheese inside. And I actually just did it the first time the other day with the gluten-free breadcrumb, like rice breadcrumb. Just take the leftover risotto, roll it around in a little bit of the rice breadcrumb mixed with a little bit of the chickpea flour, and just a light fry. And I finish up truffle salt is another jam of mine. The
Love truffle. Yeah.
truffle salt is so good. It's a lot cheaper than truffle oil if you
Truffle
can find
oil,
it,
yeah.
and it's just, you don't need to have the oil then. And of course, if you're frying something, you can just like put a little truffle salt on it, like a mushroom
Gotta get
risotto.
that.
Yeah, I'm
That's
getting
great.
hungry after this call.
I know, right? So it sounds like, is it fair to say one of your tenets as a chef, as a creative cook, is to just open that fridge, the pantry, and kind of say, well, here's what I have,
Yep.
right?
Yep.
And kind of instead of coming the other way and saying every day, I want to make XYZ, so therefore I need go the other way,
Oh,
right?
exactly.
See
I
what you
like,
have.
I'll like go to the market and, pick out, okay, yeah, zucchini's fresh right now. Looks great. Oh, green beans are local and fresh and they're on sale. Let me get a bag of those. And I know leeks, I know fennel, like that's how carrots, like I just get all that stuff, beets. And then I have like, I think of it like a palette, like an artist, like, okay, now I can take any one of these things and like, what can I make? It's like a fun challenge for myself. Like, what can
Yeah.
I make with this, this, and this, and this? And oh, these are starting to go. So let me, throw those in a broth and we could soup today.
Sure. I think you do that with your music too.
Yeah.
I
Well, I
think
think
you.
I think of it's very similar in my
Yeah,
brain.
no, I really, I'm such a fan of your music because it's well, it's so not formulaic like your
Right.
cooking, and
Right.
you always hear something and you're like, wow, how does she have that as a reference point? So it's great, and I you know the solo stuff especially, that is just because it's so undistilled, and so keep on doing
Thank
that,
you. Yeah.
pulling from all these directions with the cooking. And I urge you, yes, even if you just put 3 or 4 of your favorite recipes on your website. I
Sure.
really think people would just have one more page over there, say cooking or
Sure.
food or something. I think that'll go over great. Someone, so okay, just to clear up, Don was not dissing your website before. He was. I guess I had referenced
I see.
uh, um, Katie, your other half, Katie.
Yeah,
Sorry,
she needs, yes,
she
Katie,
needs a
yes.
site. Yeah. So
Yes.
he was talking about that. Yeah. Okay. But I think she's probably good. Do you make your own Berber? Todd is asking. Do you make your own?
I have, but I get what is it, the Spice House from Chicago,
Okay.
Evanston, I think technically. They're a really great uh, spice company, and I've been ordering, like, they're actually doing these flat packs now, so you know reducing the waste, and there's not plastic, or it's just a recyclable bag. And so I've been ordering
Okay.
spices from them for years because they're just so good. And I don't normally order blends. Like, I usually make
Sure.
my own curry blend, or I make my own berber. But I did, when I first started making the Ethiopian food, I was like, I always like, will check it out. Like, honestly, like I'll go, like that's my go-to holiday shopping for my dad and
Yeah.
Eric, is I'll just go to their site and just see, okay, what can I get from them? And then I'll get inspired, like, one for them and one for me.
Sure.
So that was what inspired me to start making the Ethiopian food. I noticed that spice blend. I thought, oh, I want to get that.
And
So
tell me again the name of that spice source.
that's the Spice House.
The Spice House in Chicago.
Yep.
Okay. Because we got some people watching in Chicago. The
Yeah.
Spice House. Okay. Great.
Yeah, it's in Evanston. For those of it technically in Chicago, I know that
Okay.
they probably would be technical about this. Isn't Evanston.
Right. Right.
And we actually played Space in Evanston last year, and
Which
I
band?
didn't with Adrian.
Adrian. Okay. I
And
wasn't on that one. Yep.
yeah, so I didn't know that they had moved to the Evanston space until
Right.
after the fact. I noticed. I was like, damn it, I would have gone to the Spice House. I would have loved that.
Sure.
But I also got my yellow bass that day. Lakeland came out and gave me a new bass, so
Oh, that's
I was
awesome.
a little bit distracted that day.
I'm sure.
Anyway.
I was at the space with our fellow dear friend David Torn.
Nice.
I did a tour
Love
with
David.
him when we were at the
Yeah.
space. Yeah.
And also his wife is an amazing veggie chef.
That's correct. Linda is, she's really, I think, the main person behind the Moosewood Cookbook.
Right. Exactly.
Right.
Exactly.
She's not as credited as she should be.
Right.
But she Some of you progressive rock fans may not know that. Yeah, that David Torn's amazing other half, Linda, was at the Moosewood, which is
Yeah.
where in Ithaca, New York, right?
Yes, yes, upstate New York.
So
Yep.
yeah. So let's see. So Sabina says something very interesting. Yeah, I think everyone eating meat should watch an animal getting slaughtered. Just to understand that animal needs to die for us. And Julie, you referenced that story when you were very young, right? With the
Yeah, 20 years old, 19 years
experience.
old. Yeah.
And what was it again? You saw an animal die, or you just
I just saw, well, I saw when I was 17, I saw the truck full of pigs
the
going
truck?
off to
Yeah.
slaughter. And
Hmm.
I just saw how poorly, like, they just looked, they were all scratched and cut, and they just looked miserable, is the only way I can really describe it. I mean, they were on their way to being killed. So
Hmm.
obviously they didn't look great. And they're smart animals, so it's not like they didn't know what was about to happen, probably,
Sure.
you know. And then I saw a calf's head when I was 19 years old placed in front of me, already slaughtered, but just like a little baby cow's head. So, you know, that's when I realized like I couldn't bring myself to hunt or slaughter my own animals. So, therefore, why should I be consuming it? Like now, like thinking about the source. And another book that I read a few years later, I got really into Omnivore's Dilemma by Michael
Yeah.
Pollan, and that
Michael
really
Pollan.
opened
It's
my
great.
eyes about the way we produce corn and the way we feed cows corn in this country and how
Yeah.
that makes them sick and
It's amazing. I mean, when you read his books and his articles or his interviews, basically cows and pigs are corn processing machines for the
right,
corn industry. What we really have is a corn industry.
right,
And I've tried to really cut back corn. I make corn, I make popcorn, every, once every 6 weeks or something, once a
yeah,
month. But I went completely grain free for
nice,
a bunch of last year, including corn, and wow, so transformative. And now, as you know, when you do something like that, you go back and you just eat a lot less.
right,
So we don't have. We had Robin pulled a half a frozen loaf of whole grain Ezekiel bread out of the fridge the other day, and oh wait, we still have this. We had some japonica rice the other day, that black rice.
yeah, yep,
So you have better grains, but
right,
certainly I know you hardly cook grains. I mean you're about the food, the vegetables,
yeah,
the and then good grains, quinoa or brown rice or
right, right, right,
yeah, it's no, you really got to you do that. There's some people on here asking. Someone's saying, is there going to be a slick vegan cookbook? So
yeah.
there's
That's
some
what I'm hoping is to get a cookbook. Maybe Katie can do some illustrations, I can do some illustrations, and then have it be mostly veg. I mean, obviously it's going to be veg, but like for anything, have it be adaptable, right? Like if you're
right,
vegan or if you're gluten free,
sure,
kind of like a
simple.
more flexitarians,
Hmm.
So baby steps, if you don't want to give up cheese yet, you can't give up your cheese yet. Here's the recipe with cheese. But there's also recipe without cheese or with gluten. I pretty much cook all gluten free right now anyway, with the exception of the
Yeah,
pizza dough
sure,
that I've been
yeah.
doing.
And once you get there, you realize how easy it is.
Yeah.
We've been loving. There's another company called Siete. Do you know that company? It's
No.
the Mexican American folks.
Yeah.
Yeah, really great Siete. And what they had, one of the or two of their kids had an allergy. It's all Mexican foods. A couple, there's maybe 6 products, gluten free. So
Yeah.
they have a
That's
line of
yeah.
tacos that are cassava, cashew, almond butter. I mean, wow, and really good.
So
I mean,
and corn free. So you're saying they're
corn
corn
free,
free.
yeah, totally
Yeah.
grain free. So what I love about that is that turns the corner for a lot of people who just can't think that Mexican food could be healthy. Of
Oh
course,
yeah.
it is.
Oh
How
yeah.
about have you had some good meals in Mexico City or
Oh
anywhere?
yeah. I played in Mexico City with Echo Test last year, and it was tacos after tacos after tacos, and they were good tacos, of course, and all veggie that you didn't
Yeah,
have to worry about, there being meat in there. There was some ridiculous mushrooms and
yeah,
zucchini
El
flour
Fungo.
tacos.
Right.
Ah, so good.
No, and as you know some Spanish, so you ask a few
Yeah.
questions,
Yeah.
and you get that. We were blown away because we were there. Check this touring situation out. Robin and I were working for 10 years after, the band from
Yep.
Woodstock,
Yep.
and I've never had this following thing in any of my touring career, and I hope it happens again. We had a gig on a Friday night. We flew in there Monday morning with 5 days off.
Amazing.
I've never heard of that. So
Yeah.
Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 5 days off, and
That's almost like our perm Russia.
that's
When we
true,
were in perm
right?
Russia, we were like 5 days in perm.
sitting around.
Yeah.
That's the only catch. There wasn't that much to do there. So
Yeah.
this is Mexico City. So we did the pyramids, we did the Frida Kahlo house, all that. But I pulled out my phone. I said, well, I know there's some vegan food. I'm not, but let's see. I think there'll be a few choices. My phone was covered, the map.
Yep.
I was like, wait a minute. Not only is it, and we went to this taco joint that I'm going to edit some video that was a street food taco, 100% vegan.
Yeah.
We got there. We were so lucky. We got there like 4:45 one day because at 5 o'clock when everyone was off, half a block of people, and we were like, "This is mind blowing."
Yep.
People back home think that there's no way you could eat vegan in Mexico.
No.
So it's Mexico and Spanish food. That's another plug. And there's a friend of mine that I met. She was one of our assistants. She's our production assistant in Argentina. You got to meet her someday. Her name's Pink, and she's a vegan chef, and she's just started her own business of frozen vegetarian vegan foods in Paraguay and Argentina.
Nice.
Blowing up. I mean, so again, there's a revolution happening, folks, especially in these other countries where there's these new economies.
Yep.
And they know these foods from growing up,
Exactly.
So let's see if there's any other questions. Lentil soup, Turkish style, yeah, and you serve it with fresh lemon, yes.
And Aleppo pepper.
Yes, Aleppo pepper, yeah.
Very important. Which they sell at the Spice House, by the way.
Okay. Oh, definitely we'll be checking out the Spice House. Frank says, any thoughts on politics? That's funny, Frank. It's all woven in. That's going to be a separate show, Frank. But food is politics because
of course
you're supporting local economies when you can. You are eating lower on the food chain, which is making a statement for this crazy subsidized meat industry, right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of woven in there. And something I'm very concerned about, which I touched on, this situation for these folks in the slaughterhouses right now.
Yeah.
Because with COVID,
mm-hmm.
I mean, folks, if you haven't heard about this, please Google. It's a nightmare for these folks because they are largely immigrants. They're largely brown and black people. They're being paid shit so you can have that pork roll, egg, and cheese for $1.99 because you won't pay $5.99 like it should be. And so there's some politics. Food is politics, yeah. Jules, how much have you well, two things I want to ask you because I want to hear your thoughts more than mine, is have you heard of, did you know they were doing almond milk in like the 1300s in Europe?
No, I did not hear that.
Yeah, I'll send you a link. We talked about that last week. Yes, in the Middle Ages.
Wow.
And you'll love it when you see the things. They were using almond meal when they couldn't afford eggs.
Perfect.
Or they were out of wheat flour. Almond meal. And so the royalty, and then you couldn't get milk throughout the year because
sure, right,
you were getting it really from a cow.
Right, utterly.
Yeah. So almond milk, 1300s. So again, it just reinforces that what we're doing isn't crazy. Tell me your thoughts. Have you read much about this situation in China with the wet markets and the all the stuff related to this? Tell me your thoughts on that.
Well,
what you've read.
I haven't read too much about it, but I mean, if you want to educate me more, I would love to know. But yeah.
You look like, you're like, this is gross. Yeah.
Yeah, well, exactly.
Yeah. Well, I would say to everyone, just read a bit more about it. But the wet markets are one of those examples of utter and complete cruelty to these animals. Okay. You've got cages of chickens and pigeons on top of some snakes or eels or in a container, or there's beavers and there's this animal called a pangolin. Have you heard?
I've heard about the pangolin. Yes.
Yeah, which
nobody
again
should be eating. Yeah.
It's and there's some theory that a pangolin virus
is like connected to the COVID. Yeah.
We don't know. There's a little bit of doubt, but not that much.
Right.
At this point, we're now this virus has been discovered in November of last year, so we're what are we? We're 9 months. Yeah, we're 9 months. That's the other thing people need to remember, is that it's only 9 months of biological knowledge of this thing.
Right.
So
that's why you can't compare it to a flu.
Hello. which it's already 4 times the deaths of the flu, right? And
Right.
notice the flu people have shut up because suddenly that's no excuse. But I think we're here today talking about being a little better to animals and be about being better to animals. And I think taking this story back to where it started, the wet markets, I urge
Yeah.
everyone, just Google wet markets, look at some videos. It's wrong. We should not have this. The Chinese government banned them for a couple months early this year, but they've kind of come back. They went underground. But it's these horrific conditions
Yeah.
for these animals. And you know what? Again, even if you want to eat animals and meat, this is the important message. It shouldn't be that way, where these animals that don't belong together are crammed together. There's a lot of disease. There's a lot of viral activity. This is not the first time what we're living through right now. Not the first time. These viruses that change species. So in my dark sense of humor, I often picture just some guy, like maybe a tourist or something. He's there and he's like, I'm going to have the, can I get the Szechuan chicken sandwich? That'll be good. What's this about? The bat sandwich. Is there?
Yeah.
No, I'll just have the chicken. It's cool. I'll have the Szechuan chicken. Yeah. You know what, man? Let me try the bat. That sounds kind of crazy. Let me try the bat. That may have happened.
Right.
And here we are. But, it's not funny, but it's also
Right.
funny because
Right.
everything's funny.
Right. You can't laugh.
So you can't laugh. Dave Bainbridge says hi, and he says he got a small jar of truffles.
Oh,
Any
nice.
suggestions what to do with them? He's never used them before.
Well, anytime you cook with mushrooms, truffles and mushrooms are great friends. So, like I mentioned earlier about a risotto, you can make an easy plant-based risotto. I did the other day. You don't, there's common misconception that you need lots of butter and cream and cheese to make a risotto. This is not true. It's all about the technique of, as long as you stir the rice the right way, you get the right kind of medium grain arborio or caneroli rice.
Okay.
A little bit of olive oil or earth balance with onion and that rice, a little bit of white wine or lemon juice I've used if you don't drink, if you don't keep alcohol in the house, and, saute the mushrooms first to get that deep umami flavor. Again, onion, rice, and then you just ladle in some fresh veggie broth, finish with those truffles. It'll be absolutely delicious.
Wow.
Or mushroom soup, if you're, grain free, you can easily make a mushroom soup. I like to blend everything with cashews to make it like super rich and creamy. Again, always like truffles as a finishing agent because you don't want to like cook them too much or cook out their delicious flavor. So like a little, like as if it's salt or pepper, like at the end of a meal, like finish with that. It's so good.
So it sounds like you don't need much of truffles when.
Oh no, it's a very strong flavor. Yeah. So just like you can always add more. You can't take out. So
yes.
That's an important lesson in cooking.
Well, that's Dave Bainbridge. Do you know Dave?
Remind me.
Yeah, you might have met him on the cruise. He plays in the Straubs, and he's the other half of Sharon Rudolph.
Sorry, you broke up a little bit.
Oh, sorry. He's the other half of Sharon Rudolph.
Okay, right. I see, yes.
Wonderful guitarist and keyboard player, and hopefully you meet one day. I'm going to have him on the show in this series of musicians and traveling. So he's doing some veg cooking. Sabina says German beer is regulated since 1516. Yeah, that's a good plant-based food beer, right?
Yes,
and,
yes.
It's how about you? Are you alcohol-free these days, or good quality
limited,
alcohol?
Just limiting on the weekends, like
Okay.
because it's easy just to pandemic and just
I
drink
know,
every day.
right?
So just limiting it to the weekends, and it's like and also like keeping to like local. There's lots of great breweries here, so like Fremont, get a couple beers from there, have one or two, or
Nice.
Big Gin is a local distillery here
Mm-hmm.
that makes really good gin. So again, also applying that same concept to trying to buy more locally and not having things that are imported.
Plant-based too.
Yeah, exactly.
We're gonna have Paul Bielatowicz from the Carl Palmer Band on here talking about brewing soon, and because all these things are great ways to encourage plant-based. Beth Fleener says hi. She's on.
Beth.
Hey, Beth. Where is Beth these days? I know she got married, right?
Yes, she's just a few miles up the road here.
So she's there. Okay.
Shoreline, yeah.
Because I lost track. I know she was in Atlanta briefly. I guess her husband's from there or something. But I love Beth. When I found out that we all know each other, And she has yet to tell me a story. Did she said, wait till you hear this story. Do you know Beth came to see Project Object like 20 some years ago? Did you know that?
I feel like she told me, but like I've noticed that you two like know each other, and I just like oh, like everything is of
Yeah.
course so connected.
Well, I know her because I went to see this guy Shane Parrish, who's a dear
Right.
friend of mine. You know his music?
No.
Oh man, I'll send you some links. He's another
Yeah.
guy you should know and collaborate with. He's a local musician. Anyway, I went to see him, and he said, "Yeah, come early. My friend Beth is opening up." Psh, the rest is history. We couldn't
Yeah.
believe it. I
Yeah.
went up and said hi, and I said, "Oh, you're from Seattle. Do you know?" And they named you Skerrick. She's
Right.
like, "Oh my God, these are my people." So we love Beth.
Oh yeah.
Jay Harris says, "Okay, save our stages." Okay, Jay, we'll check that out. We
Yes.
do know about that link, and people should definitely look at that. Robin says, "Pig trucks are the saddest." Yes.
Oh, they are.
Banksy.
I do have to get running a little bit soon.
Okay, yeah.
I'm trying to get a hike in, a massive
Sure.
hike in before it
I'm
closes.
just gonna race through and see if there's one or two other
Sure.
questions. Just people talking about, seeing pigs, seeing animals. It's a major thing. Vegana. That's the taco truck. Robin says, "Yeah, Vegana in
Okay.
Mexico City." Yeah.
Oh, nice.
Yeah. Sabina says now some of the vegetarian food today was meat replacements during World War II and the years after. Well, you touched on that because you were in England right after Mad Cow.
Exactly,
No?
and that's why like there's such a high population of vegetarian and vegan people there now.
That's
I think
right.
I don't know the actual statistic, but I know it's way higher than it is here.
Oh, absolutely. And I remember when it happened because they just decimated the cow population, but then people stopped eating everything else, pork,
Right.
goat, everything.
Exactly.
And all these companies like the Quorn company
Yeah. Yeah.
exploded, and all these other. And then I've read articles where a lot of people said, you know what, I feel better. My heart
Exactly.
rate has gone down. My cholesterol went down. My doctor's asking, what the hell did I do? I've just been eating meatless for 9 months because of Mad Cow. So maybe I'll have a little bit on a holiday, but why bother? And so that's a big thing in England. Let's see. Oh, Sharon Rudolph is here. Hey, Sharon. Sharon says the virus has outsmarted the human species. You know. And I met Sharon at an Adrian Belew show, right? We met her at
Annapolis.
Annapolis, right?
Yeah,
Right.
the Ram's
So,
Head.
yeah, I know you two have done a bunch of shows, and so you've inspired someone, Dave Bainbridge. Thank you, Julie. He's going to do a mushroom risotto with truffles.
Perfect.
So you're impacting.
Highly recommend it.
You're impacting dinner in England because right now it's whatever o'clock it is over there.
Yeah.
He's having a late dinner. Well, this is awesome. I know you got to run and go out and
Yes.
do the outdoor part of plant life.
Exactly. We have
be around
Discovery Park is amazing here, so it's
Awesome.
we try to go like on a day, like it gets too crowded on the weekends, but like now time of day before it gets like after 5 and people get out of work, I guess, like at
Sure.
their desks at home. So I try to go when it's a little less crowded, still trying to be responsible, but also get the exercise outside.
Exactly. Well, that's awesome, Jules. I have a couple of your links up there. I'll put some more. So people, you've heard it in case you've just tuned in. Julie Slick, Eric Slick was here before. Just their name.com is where you can find them.
Yep.
And all kinds of stuff. Well, Jules, it's been great. Just great to see your face and hear stories and catch up a bit. And, come back and do this again in
totally, anytime.
a couple months. Maybe we'll do a live cooking thing where you
and I'll promote my cookbook.
And let's get on the phone about OBS because
yes.
wow, you got to get that, for your production. So
totally.
Thanks again. I'm going to stay on and answer a few questions for people, but I forget how you just hang up on your end, and I think it'll work that way.
Yes.
But we'll talk soon.
Yes.
Yeah.
All right. Thank you.
Love
Jay.
you and happy birthday. Happy birthday to Mom when you talk to her.
That's the other thing. I got to call Mom.
Yes. All right.
All right. Cheers. Bye.
See you soon. There we go, folks. So I'm still learning production here. So pressing buttons. Wow. That was really just so cool for me because, again, I love those two as a brother and sister, as if I had younger brother and sister, which I do have two beautiful, amazing sisters. But I love them like siblings, but also I love them as if I was a parent, you know, because I've been a mentor to them around the world, and so touching to hear Eric's story of, you know, his first day going vegetarian. I think he was 16, 17 or something, on his very first tour with Project Object, my Zappa band. So I remember that. So many great. He mentioned the story of where he ate some hash brownies backstage. I remember that. We arrived at this joint in Rochester, and he's starving. Oh man, he'd said that too. Like, oh, we're gonna get some food because, well, let's get to the club, bro, and we'll order something. And he gets backstage, and some fan had brought a tray of brownies. Note to anyone out there: please put a fucking sign if there's drugs in food, because this poor kid goes back there. Oh, brownies, you know, and he ate. I think he ate like 4 of them, you know. Which, yeah, if you know brownies, you start with like a quarter of one. This poor dude, and he didn't smoke weed or anything, you know. And he ate 4 of these brownies, dude. He was looped. There's audio and video of this show. The show was, it became Frank Zappa meltdown night. Everything was slow reggae, and I think we had to cut it short. Even he might have gotten sick, but a lot of memories with both of them around the world. You know, from Bondi Beach to Kazan, and to hanging out with Adrian Ballou and Tony Levin and all those folks. So beautiful people, beautiful stories, and I'm so happy to have them be part of the of this fun show. So I'm gonna wrap up in just a few minutes, folks. I just want to see if there's any other questions, and you know, if you got 1 or 2 things, and I'm gonna wrap up with a few topics. I keep pushing it back, but I really want to talk about composting. You know, that's a very important part of if you're trying to integrate a plant-based life. So I'll leave you with just a little thing on that. If you do have a place to compost, if you happen to live in a home or somewhere where there's just some woods nearby you, or any place that you can make soil. Because what you're doing with composting, you're making soil. And one of the beautiful things is you reduce your garbage stream. You know, we never have food in the garbage. Think about that. That's a profound statement. And not just because I'm saying it, but it exists independent of me and my brain. The profundity of taking stuff out of the garbage stream. And you do that a few different ways. You know, you buy things with better packaging, buy less in general, stop consuming as much garbage. But if you can take food waste out of the garbage stream, think about that. Think about how many scraps you throw away, potato peelings. If you eat meat, think of the chicken bones, the egg shells, the scraps of fat from the pork chops, right? The bacon that you know, fat that you might have cut off, that liver that's in the freezer so a lot of animal product and a lot of vegetable, you know, broccoli that went bad, cauliflower that went bad, that salad that you thought you were going to eat, but there it is in the back of the fridge. All this stuff goes in the waste stream. So I'd like to leave you with that thought, and we'll get into it a little bit more next week. I hope. The idea of composting. It's so simple. I have composted for something like, it's going to be near 30 years. I think in around 93 or 4. So yeah, about 27 years. Is that right? Yeah. Wow. I have not created food garbage in that time. I know. Pretty simple, but pretty profound. That's probably a couple tons of food. So I'm talking seeds, apple cores, the bits of lettuce that went brown, the foot of the lettuce or the cabbage that you're not going to use, the skin of garlic, all of these things that are created in food waste as you're preparing food, if you're peeling potatoes or some other root vegetable. You know, the little green thing on the top of the strawberries. I mean, it goes on and on and on. We have them all in our backyard. Yeah. Never throw away any food waste. And since it's all plant-based, you make soil. So we have a little garden going we've got thyme and two types of parsley, German parsley, Sabina. We got that, and we have Italian parsley. For anyone watching Italy, we've got 3 or 4 types of hot peppers, ghost peppers, chili peppers, Thai peppers, eggplant, which I'm going to go harvest an eggplant as soon as I hang up here. We've got butternut squash, all these things, and some of the soil. We get some potting soil, but we also use our own soil, which we've made locally with scraps. Because plant waste becomes soil. We're all going to become soil. I'm going to be dirt and dust. So will you. Ashes to ashes, all that. So getting in touch with that regenerative part of what the earth does, which is turn everything back into earth, really, right? And you see it. It's quite amazing I go out there every day or so, or day and a half, and I throw out, and I'll show you all the container we use. Beautiful stainless steel container with a filter top, so it doesn't smell like plant waste. If there's some fruit that's rotting with something in there. But I throw it out there almost every day, so it's not really a odor problem in your kitchen. But you just got a sealed container, could be a Tupperware container, and start putting food waste in it. If you've got a place to go compost it, there's composting drums, there's all these composting boxes and technology. So look it up if you care to reduce your waste stream. But the bonus you get is this beautiful, incredible, rich, dark soil. You make your own soil while doing something environmental. So I just wanted to share that because that's such a big reason of why I live a plant-based life. I'm an environmentalist. I want to, cut back on waste stream and carbon footprint. So I eat as much local food as I can, and I eat low on the food chain, and I compost, and anything I can help people inspire them to add into their lives is great. So let's see if there's a couple other questions. Okay, great. Robin's got the address up there. Maria Muse, hey, how are you? You were in Istanbul. I know. Next stop, Greece. Istanbul, I'll tell you, man. I dream of the French fries I had in Istanbul. Quick story. Adrian Ballou, we played 2 shows there. Flew to Turkey. Amazing. Still think about that trip. It was a decade ago, I think. We went to Istanbul, played there, and in Eskişehir, way out in the countryside, 3-4 hours at a college. Anyway, we play Istanbul, and the show's over, and we're like, all right, we're done now with the 2 shows. That's when you can really just, get fucked up on cocaine and no, totally kidding, folks. This show is part comedy as well, but and that probably happened 35 years ago, but that's when you can just say, all right, I can chill now because the equipment doesn't have to work till next month, and there's no more deadlines, and so there's a certain thing after you're done with the shows in those countries and you've been paid. Looking at you, Italy. Yeah, you still owe me. No, I've always been paid in Italy. There's some other people that owe me, and they know who they are. But so we finish the show, and Adrian says, okay, let's go get a beer, get something to eat. So we're walking around Istanbul, and there's not much open, but and it's a Muslim country. So the alcohol thing is a little tight. You really have to be in the right place. But I think we grabbed a beer before we left or something. So now we just want something to eat. We're walking around. What's open up here? So we find this place. I'm just blown away even remembering it. All they did was French fries, this place. That's it. And there's this little place, probably about 12 feet across and about 15 feet deep, just a little, 2 guys working in there. One guy in the back had a mountain of potatoes. He was cleaning these potatoes, just cleaning and scrubbing them, getting any dirt out with a little core thing, leaving the skins on. All this guy was doing in the back, cleaning the potatoes, putting them through this thing that chopped them into fresh fries, and dropping them in the hot oil. The other guy was taking your order and kind of, helping and handing you. And it was that classic thing of French fries in a cone, paper cone, and you had like so simple, large or small, and you had salt and ketchup and a curry sauce to dip in, and mayonnaise. Of course, they love mayonnaise for French fries in a lot of European countries, and obviously there in Turkey. Man, when I tell you, you will never. I mean, you're watching the dude cut the potatoes. You saw him do it, and then it goes in the oil. So really amazing, and uh, the point being though that plant-based life, meatless Monday, what we're here to talk about every Monday is there's so many great foods that you already love that are vegetarian. The key is make them a little better, right? Make them with better oil, make them with better quality. Um, uh, Look at the history. Try to find out where did this food come from? How can I make it a little more in the original style? Eric was talking about they're going to do gandan noodles tonight. Wow, I love those. And you just look them up, folks. I'll remind you of this every week. If there's something you want to learn how to cook, you live in a beautiful time. Just go to YouTube and punch it in and punch in the word vegan or meatless or vegetarian, for this type of direction, and you will undoubtedly find, uh, you know, um, somebody showing you how to make it. Um, you'll see the recipe. The best ones, it's actually someone cooking, and like I just punched in, Dan Dan noodles, vegan. You know, it's just we live in a time where you can just ask questions on your computer. I know you know this, but sometimes people need to be reminded um, that it's so easy now to learn how to cook something better, uh, or just new, not better or worse, but better for you for sure. I just punched in vegan Thai curry, and then wow, just look at that. And I've watched this gourmet vegetarian person, whoever that is. They do these incredible videos where she just shows you step by step by step. The ingredients come up on top, and it's a beautiful presentation of how to make something. And the video is 4 minutes 41. So I encourage you to utilize these things. Yeah, her videos are great, man, because she obviously she gets in there and she edits them so that what might be 20 minutes is down to 4 or 5. See that? There was a little jump cut there. You don't even have to write down the ingredients. There they are. And so, sometimes we forget that we have these incredible tools on the internet where you might not need as much resources as you think. But so you got the picture. So please give yourself more options. Take advantage of the technology. Let's see. That's so cute. Here's Sharon Rudolph. Hi, Dave. What brings you here? That's her other half is Dave. Fancy meeting you here. Danya Rose says, where can you find cashew cream? I guess it's available somewhere, but you make it. Just go buy a couple pounds of raw cashews in any natural food store. They're a great staple to have on hand. They're a good snack, and you don't need many of them. They're very high energy, so just a little, 2 tablespoons of raw cashews. You'd be surprised how filling and chewy they are. But you can make cashew cream. You can look up the exact method. But I've seen put them in a bowl, pour some hot water over them, and let them sit, and then come back and put them in a food processor, and it turns into a creamy, incredible food ingredient that has the qualities of milk cream. It's not exactly the same, but it has the kind of texture. It's got the it's going to add body to a soup or a sauce, as Julie was saying. She puts it in soups. I hadn't thought of that. That woman is brilliant. She really is. So creative with food and textures. But cashew cream, you find that in a lot of recipes. I've done some curry with cashew cream actually, and whole cashews. So very easy to make that. So check that out, Don. Dave Bainbridge, you know Todd Reynolds? Wait a minute. This world is getting smaller. How do you know Todd? Thank you, Beth. Adore you too. And let's see. Sabina votes for a Julie Slick cook-along, right? Don't you think? There should be a Julie Slick cooking thing. And again, to support those independent musicians, julieslick.com, ericslick.com. If you'd like to support me, I put my PayPal in there. I do these shows for free. I'm going to keep doing them for free. But there's a tip jar. If you want to send me a tip, I put my PayPal there. I'll put my Venmo. I always forget to do that. And, you know, I am AndreChumley.com or here. And today was the first day we did it on a bunch of platforms. Yes, I did it on Twitter, Facebook, YouTube, and Twitch. Do y'all know about Twitch? Twitch is this channel that's mainly for gaming and young people just playing games and reviewing games, but mostly playing games around the world. And it's kind of like a YouTube sort of for gaming. It's mind-blowing. I've been checking it out. And so I'm broadcasting on Twitch because there's a lot of food and electronic music and stuff. So we were on Twitch today. And I also recognize that a lot of people don't like Facebook, and you're not on Facebook. So I understand that. And so now it's on YouTube and a few other things. And as I get the technology together, I will... sorry, just typing in some stuff there, some links for y'all. As I get the technology a little bit better, I'm going to be able to take comments on YouTube, because I know some people just, I hate Zuckerberg. I'm not going to be I get it. It's easy to dislike the guy and the platform. So, okay, let's see. Okay, and I'm putting my Venmo up here. It's just my name with a dash. So thanks if someone wants to buy me a beer or a couple heads of kale. Okay, so next week, once again, is going to be some folks from the Great Eastern Sun, which is a kind of macrobiotic Japanese ingredients supplier right here in Asheville. And though I started eating their foods and their products 35, oh my God, almost, 30 years ago, or early 90s. And macrobiotics, which we'll get into one of these weeks, is, let's just say, for shorthand, kind of a Japanese diet. I mean, it's not really, but largely it adheres to a lot of the tenets of Japanese, mostly plant-based cooking. Most macrobiotics are vegetarian. Some do eat some fish, but what they are is a whole foods kind of a cuisine, and I mean that in the old school way, not the chain stores. So it's a lot of kabocha squash and acorn squash and brown rice and sometimes wild rice and seaweed, nori, dulse, all these wonderful sea vegetables. It's a lot of things like leeks and mushrooms of all types, and not too much spicy food though. So that's where for me I'm like, yeah, I need some spice. And they're very strict on fats, so not that much coconut fat, or if any, or avocado. They're very low fat. So I take some issue with that. I think Humans certainly need a lot more fat than in the typical macrobiotic diet. There's a lot of sesame seeds though, and sesame oil, and things like tahini and some nuts. So there's some good fats in there. Anyway, that whole group of foods is called macrobiotic, and there's this wonderful company, Great Eastern Sun, and again they make um, sesame oils and pickled ginger and all the things you would do to make sushi. But miso is the main product they make. And we'll have a gentleman on next week named Cody, who is a miso master, and he's studied under some Japanese experts, and he's going to be explaining to us next week some of the benefits of miso, some of the history of miso, and also some multimedia here. We'll show some photographs and maybe some video. So that's next week. Let's see. Okay, great. So I am just putting got my PayPal on there, and if you want to support me on Venmo, it's pretty easy. It's just my name with a dash. Hit me with some questions, folks. Is there, something you need to find out about in natural foods or in vegetarian or vegan or some ingredients? This is the forum for that. Let's see. Let me go down to the bottom. Sorry, my computer's work a little slow there. So Sabina says she needs some ideas for her balcony worm composter. There you go. Well, hopefully that was some ideas a little earlier. Just whatever you got, potato scraps, pretty much plant-based. You don't want to put any meat scraps or anything in there. I think the most you can go with animal products and not have some issues is eggshells. Eggshells, just break them up as fine as you can. Crush them even, because you're restoring, you're putting there's incredible silica and minerals and things in eggshell. Let's see. Any other questions? Sharon says she loves squash, all types. Yeah, tell me about it, right? Squash is awesome. Frank says he has a wish that corporations take back their spent products and cities participate in food waste collection. I know, bro, right? Wouldn't that be great if companies had to deal with their plastic containers and their waste? I mean, that's the sound I hear in my brain when I think about corporate bullshit. You're right, though. That would be incredible. I've spent some time, many times, in the Netherlands, but one time I lived at a musician's friend's house for about 10 days. We played some gigs and stuff. So I really got to soak up kind of Dutch life. And they had, I'm going to say, at least 4 garbage cans, the big ones on wheels that you wheel out to the street. 4 different ones, maybe 5. And there was waste that you can't do anything else with, that's going to go to a landfill, or I don't know if they incinerated. They probably compacted somehow. But there was very little of that, because there was a brown glass container and a clear glass container, and I think a green glass container. Maybe it was clear and green. But then they had a compost container. Are you kidding me? Compost. And then another one that was paper and cardboard waste. So, the Dutch are incredible in so many ways. They just kick our asses. Sorry if there's, someone who just goes with the narrative, rah, 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 America number one. I'm going to weave this in. We're not. We're just not. We're in the top 10. But on every one of these metrics, which I'm going to touch on every week, safety and availability of our food, the cleanliness, the regulations around our milk, our meat, our vegetables, our apples. There's too many low regulations. When you have countries, sometimes third world countries, that won't take American beef or chicken because of the safety. Wow, wake up. You're not the greatest country with that kind of shit. And that's not They're not doing it because they're anti-American. They just have standards. They don't want 12 antibiotics in a chicken or a duck. They don't want cow products where the cow's been fed a dozen or more or 20 or 30 hormones. They don't want cow and other animal products where the animals are cannibalized, where we're feeding, animal protein back to other animals. So that's one of the things you learn going to some of these countries. It blows your mind that they have stronger laws than us, and it's sad because we should be leading the world, especially if we're going to say that as often as we do. But that's one area of many that the Dutch lead. They've, at least in parts of the country, I don't know about the whole country, but in parts of the country, they collect your compost. Wow, brilliant. So you're right, Frank. We should have that. And Sabina is saying, okay, in Germany, you have to separate it in biological trash. There you go. So there's Germany, one of the greatest economies on planet Earth. Germany is often the largest export economy on Earth. It's either Germany or China usually. But they're putting some of that money back into environmental stuff. And again, this is an environmentalist show. So hopefully you make that connection. Frank says, we're discouraging things in this country because revenue streams are not realized, thought of, or easily extracted. Exactly. That's a revenue stream. There's jobs for people in recapturing waste and getting it back. Yeah. Frank says, what oil did they use in Istanbul? I'm not sure. I remember asking the guy, and he was like, everything was very natural. I can't remember if it was olive oil, though, but it might have been like a seed oil, like safflower oil or something. But it wasn't, of course, it wasn't lard or anything animal. It was, I remember, because I ask wherever I am, 24/7, around the world. If I'm somewhere on Earth, especially Japan, this is important. And if I can't get a clear translation or understanding, I'm just not going to eat it. I'll go, because one of the things people need to realize when you're traveling as vegetarian, you can always, unless you're in a place of famine, you're always going to have a market or a convenience store with some nuts, orange juice, or some kind of thing like that, fruit juice, and fresh fruit. You're always going to find some apples or bananas or whatever the local thing, some mangoes. But yeah, if I'm in Turkey or something, we're a lot of the people we encountered spoke English. But if I can't get a clear answer, forget about it. So I remember it was some vegetable oil. What I really have to do is go through my archives and find pictures and videos from all these trips, So all right, as I wrap up here, let's see if there's one or two other questions. I could stay here for hours because you folks are hanging out. But I'll close out on some of the meals that I get to enjoy because my amazing other half, Robin, is an incredible chef, and she cooks most of the time. I'm a pretty good chef myself. But this was yesterday. So we've got salad on the top with olives in it, black olives. And then you've got some, this japonica rice, this black rice. And then kind of a cowboy succotash type thing with corn. And I think there was garlic and, some wonderful spices on the corn. And then over there, some, on that side, potatoes, just jacket potatoes as the Brits call them. Just baked and kind of split in half there so that you could drizzle a little olive oil, sprinkle some salt in there. So I think there was some baked tofu at the bottom or something. So you got greens, fiber, vitamins, good fats, good whole grain, a really good root vegetable, a little bit of corn. We've been using this local CSA where they deliver, and it's I think it's like, I don't know, $20-25 for a box of kind of off produce. I mean, it's awesome, amazing organic stuff, but maybe a funny shaped squash or cabbage that part of it got lopped off, or you've seen this kind of thing. But when you're on a budget, as we are, it's a great way to get some organic food. So look for CSAs if you're in the States. That's what they're usually called. Uh, Community supported agriculture, I think it's called. And there's usually an organic CSA in a lot of areas, and you can really save a lot. And that's one of the ways we get local food. Um, when it's not COVID, we go to about 3 different farm markets. We're very lucky here to be in a temperate rainforest, Asheville is, and so it's incredibly green, a lot of farms, a lot of farming. So during the farming season, 6, 7 days a week, there's a farm market. But right now, we're not going to those as many. Yes, Samina says, we don't want chemistry in our food and genetically changed food. Exactly. We don't want synthetic chemistry because, of course, somebody's going to remind me that food is made of magnesium and potassium. That's great. I know one guy who's like that. He's just kind of a jerk, actually. But I have a friend who, if you say something like that you're against chemicals in food, even though he knows you're talking about synthetic toxic chemicals, he feels the need to mansplain and point out that a mango has sulfur in it because yeah, of course it does. So Sabina, yes, I know that when you say chemistry and food, I know what you mean, but just to preempt somebody saying everything's made of chemicals. Genetically altered food, right? Again, that's a tricky area, and I'm going to do a show on that. I'm completely against genetically modified foodstuffs like what we were talking about, things that you go and you buy and eat. I do recognize that they're here to stay. And for instance, some of the yeast made and used for beer and wine, and there's things like yellow rice that they argue helps blind people in Asia. I've heard pros and cons on that, but let's just say, it should be much more regulated than it is. Okay, so I'm going to wrap up. I'm down to, okay, awesome. I am caught up on all your questions. Thank you so much, folks. You are amazing because I do this because there's a response, and you wonderful folks tune in and ask these great questions. So we're going to sign off here. We'll see you next week. Again, I'm Andre Chumley, andrechumley.com. You've got all my contacts there. I'm Guitar Tour on Twitter and Instagram. GuitarTour.net is my music page. So you can just punch in my name. Unlike Joe Smith or somebody, there's only probably not that many Andre Chumleys. So if you just look for me on YouTube, you'll find my channel. Next week, Great Eastern Sun, Organic, Miso Company, etc. A few of them are going to be on. And then coming up, I'll have the exact dates next week. Very Veggie, the restaurant in Lagos, Nigeria. We've got Pink with her vegan and vegetarian products in Uruguay and Argentina coming up. And we've got a couple other great restaurants. Soul Vegetarian in Atlanta is going to be on in a couple weeks. Just kind of juggling everyone's schedule, but just to give some tasters on what's coming up. Thank you so much, and have a plant-based day today.